Ahoy, landlubbers! It's me, your Captain Vasco speaking, and I welcome you to the stream. It's November 11th. It's Friday, November 11th. How does that number seem so big? Like I literally feel like a week ago was the start of the month, but like we're already like double digits. And I know there's not like a huge distinction there, but as I was just saying before I started properly recording, I'm having some real time management problems. I'm glad that you like the Squidbeard got the donut, Neko. I really struggled to put. It's the whole week's been a struggle. Let's be real about that. There's no particular reason for it. It's not like, oh my, like hardship, life's so difficult or whatever. It's just like work was really hard. I'm still trying to like fit in enough time to be like working out and like losing weight, and that's going okay. It was kind of a rough week because like I had a bunch of like just like high calorie leftovers and things that like I'm not throwing that away. I want like the multiple macaroni and cheeses I shouldn't eat from multiple restaurants. I visited my parents last week. It was great. That was great. That did not in any way contribute to this difficult week. Mostly just the fact that I want to do more things than I can physically manage, and also the things that I can physically manage to do are annoying or discouraging. That's, yeah, it's pretty much the human condition. Again, I realize I'm saying things that sound really stupid, but I'm just trying to catch up to where I am because my energy level's weird, and I don't know how that's going to translate to the stream. It's always more concerning when that happens on a stream where I'm supposed to be like voicing characters. Because then like it's definitely I don't. Oh yeah, for sure, Jakey. Like when traveling, like diet, yeah, no. For me, that's a no. Diet and travel like don't mix for me at all. But like yeah, like honestly, like at some point I need to transition to like a less intensive exercise routine, and like I've gotten into like better eating habits generally. Again, I just made some like not great decisions. No, I mean like I don't think it's the booster shot that like contributed significantly to anything. Like um yeah, I don't know. I think the worst of it was like last Saturday when I was just like tired in the afternoon, but like not even enough that I like couldn't do stuff. It was just like, oh, it's 1 p.m. and it's sleepy in here, which is like stupid in its own way. But like
Giraffe.
let's talk about giraffes. No, that's not it. Let's talk about this game, Beacon Pines. I've been enjoying it so far. I hope you have. I think most of you have seen at least part of this at this point. We are weirdly like 7 hours into the game, which like it. This game is like really interesting because like I feel like while I'm streaming, I have the impression that we're like getting a lot done and like learning a lot. And then when I like go back to like scrub through these videos to like, like find titles and stuff for them on YouTube, then like I feel like two things happened. And like that's it. Like two things happen in like 3 hours. I'm like, that's so extremely weird, and it makes it very difficult for me to gauge how far we are into the game. And further complicating that is the fact that this game like not constitutes some other word that starts with a C and is similar to that. Boy, it's Friday. Um, it's like made up of time travel. It consumes time travel. It encapsulates time travel. Where's Ditto? I need Ditto my thesaurus. Speaking of, Ditto sent me like something like really important to me that I need. Like I have not had time to do something with, but like I am excited to do something with. I don't. I'm hoping to have it done by next weekend. There was no chance it was getting done
Picture
for
egg.
this weekend. But look forward to that. That was an excellent find. Yeah, this game. What we're talking about? This game, giraffes. I don't know. So Bacon Pines is the story of Luka VanHorn, who has like a surprisingly tragic backstory for a character who seems largely unaffected by it. Not completely unaffected by it, but like largely unaffected by it. So his father was like a doctor who worked in this like fertilizer company town and discovered that like people were getting like super sick, and then like he died under mysterious circumstances. And then there was something called the foul harvest, where all of the local farmers just like lost most of their crops one year. Um, And it like basically ruined the town, and then by extension the reputation of the company, and then by further extension the company itself went out of business. Um, and now like a new company called Perennial Harvest came to town, and it has like really sketchy motives. It's unclear exactly what's going on there. We did discover last week that I think it's strongly implied that it was Perennial Harvest who was responsible for the creation of Beacon Pines 2.0. Which is to say that, like, Beacon Pines is a town that's been around for a while. And then there was a period in time when, like, a new company came in because the old one for the company town went under and everything was ruined. And so they decided to try and rebuild. And in that process, they sent all the people who lived in the town away for like 2 weeks or something, like a surprisingly short amount of time. And then when they came back, it was home. Everything was normal. No one had any reason to suspect anything. But as we've discovered, they actually made a whole duplicate town. They made a whole second Beacon Pines because there was a mysterious quasi magical scientific source of energy buried under the town, and they wanted to like experiment on it or find a way to profit off it or something. Um, and like that's a big part of the mystery. We like just learned that that existed, and it has ramifications for the history of our town and also the present of our town, because by way of time travel, we've seen a version of the present where Luka's grandmother is some sort of terrorist who blew up the fountain at the center of town and caused the entire town to freeze over instantaneously, because evidently both Beacon Pines 1.0 and Beacon Pines 2.0 seem to be connected to this source of mysterious Arctic time magic. So where does that leave us? I mean, that doesn't really cover everything because of the branches of the story and the minutia of them. But I think that covers a lot of what we've discovered so far. Much beyond that is sort of the relationships between characters, which hopefully will either be apparent or we can touch on as we go. But the branch left for us to explore next is good cop, hard cop. Last week we found a situation where we could be good cop, chill cop, and that went extremely badly. Basically, when exploring the shady secrets that our grandmother had kept hidden behind the china cabinet, she has like a whole like basically like manifesto and a plan to like blow up something in the town, which at this point we know is the fountain. um but like in the process of exploring that, someone came and discovered us there, one of her cohorts, Hiram Tolliver, who is Squirrel Man. It's like Squirrel Man Flanders. And previously the only option we had was to be chill cop, and that's basically, he says like, hey, let me go, and we're like, all right, that sounds pretty reasonable. And then he leaves and like locks us in the basement, and then like that's the end of the story because obviously we can't do anything else. I agree, fire cop would have been better. There's like a lot of options that I think would have been better. We were talking about this before I started recording. Hold on. Who? Oh, I just make this look so difficult. Thank you for redeeming VIP for a day. Let me just make it look super hard to change this over. I do wish that there was an automated way to do this, but I think by nature of varied usernames, there's not really like a smart way to do it, so I've kind of just done this to myself. Was mall cop an option? Not that I know of, but like that would have been pretty good, huh? It's just there's like a lot of options that would have been good. Man, I'm not gonna multitask today is what I've learned in the past 5 minutes. Okay, so that just about covers the recap. Somewhere along the way, we found the hard badge, and by badge I mean charm, and by charm I mean good. That's still working. Um, by charm I mean you see the. Well, I'm covering one of them. Can I make me go away? That would probably improve the stream, huh? You see these two things on the right here. There's chill and hard. And as I described, chill's the one we already did. Somewhere along the way we found hard. I honestly, frankly, have no recollection of what caused us to find that. I just try to interact with everything in the world until I get the maximum number of badges or get a sufficient amount of satisfaction from slapping the big melon. But, like, really the only branch we have is to try good cop, hard cop. And while it's, like, objectively the worst cop to be, like, literally, there was even, like, this one really bugs me. One of the words we got, like, right at the end of the last stream was crooked. And, like, good cop, crooked cop could have been really interesting. But no, alas, hard cop. But yeah, the charms are basically, like, magic words you can apply to different points in the story to change the direction of it. This functions as sort of a choose-your-own-adventure book, if you have ever read any of those as a kid, or what have you. But now I'm going to actually play the game, if I can remember to bring up the window again. Oh, where's my cursor? Oh, boy. It's going to be a day. I apologize. How's everybody doing? It's Friday. That's exciting. It's not work anymore, so I don't have to, like, make a bunch of phone calls tomorrow. I'm going to... So, like, in order to, like, correctly save the game, I had to, like, go 5 seconds into... But I'm just going to, like... I'm just going to do the choice again, and we'll enjoy it together. They needed to know what he was doing in Luka's house. After some deliberation, it was decided. They'd run the classic good cop, blank cop. And again, just like infinite number of better choices, but we'll go with hard cop. You played part of this. No, replay it. I played like 2 seconds because there's no manual save.
They'd run the classic good cop, hard cop interrogation. Rollo brandished a steely gaze. I've got this. Read about it 100 times.
I don't trust Rollo.
Rollo
That's the end of the sentence.
The chair which propped up the slumping Hiram Tolliver.
Like, I could say to you that, like, I don't trust Rollo to do something important, and then that would sound like, oh, like this, he is maybe an unreliable character. But what I'm saying to you is that I don't trust Rollo, who is our best friend in the world, because he's kind of bad at everything, and he's also, like, a little bit of a jerk, and that's mostly his defining characteristics.
Without even looking at his captive, he began with a long, blustery drawl.
Well, 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 Mr. Tolliver
remained motionless. Rollo spun around to face him. He'd clearly expected to rouse Mr. Tolliver with his booming voice.
See, this is why we should have gone with Slap Cop, and I think we all know it. Mr. Tolliver?
Beck and Luka gave each other an unsure glance. Rollo slammed his fist on the table.
I said, Mr. Tolliver!
He grabbed the table lamp and beamed it onto the unconscious face.
How is this going worse than the one where we got locked in the basement by the person we were interrogating? You just lock Rollo down here? I honestly feel like that's like a better path, probably.
Mr. Tolliver groaned and slowly lifted his head.
Alright, I've given Mr. Tolliver like 6 voices. Will I be able to settle on one for the duration of this stream? The world may never know.
He recoiled with a muddled, weary squint.
What in the
world? The chair wobbled as he attempted to straighten up.
Who's
Mr.
there?
Tolliver could only make out rough shapes through the glaring light. With a gruff tone, Rollo hoped to both conceal his voice and intimidate.
I'll be asking the questions here, punk! Hold on, let's just calm down. Oh, I am calm. Calm as a carrot in dirt. I'll assume that's calm. As for you, looks like you're sweating.
The doubtful expression on Beck and Luka's faces transformed into awe.
We can do this my way, or... let's just say I've never needed another
Rollo,
way.
hitting his stride, was now channeling every detective trope his memory could recall. He slammed the table again.
Objection! I mean, now dance! What? I don't even...
Mr. Tolliver's voice became desperate. He was nearly in tears.
You've tied me down. How on earth could I dance? Dance with your mouth, punk! Spill the beans! What are you doing poking around this house? I'm here to help Juniper. to make sure everything's ready. Oh, so you're in cahoots with Gran? Well, I feel like he's giving the game away here. Who would call her Grant? Who would do that? Would it be a series of children in a trench coat?
Mr.
Gran?
Tolliver was in a daze, now more confused than ever.
Gonna help her blow up the festival, eh? Blow up the festival?
He
Good
shook
lord.
his head, feeling more and more dizzy.
No. You've got it all wrong. Where is she now? She's headed to the source. Source? What's the source?
His
It's
voice
where
faded to a whisper.
the town began. Where it all began. What is Operation Sparkplug?
With that, Mr. Tolliver passed out cold.
What?
Rollo swung around with a repentant grimace.
Dang, Rollo. I think you went a little too hard cop on him. What did he say about the source? It's where the town began? We need more information. Yeah, but we'd better not push Mr. Tolliver any farther. Is there anyone else who might know more? What about the History Museum? It just got set up for the festival. Nah, that was put up by the Valentines. Everything they do is just a bunch of fluff to glorify themselves. Is there anything more reliable? The library. If there's any information about this source thing, Kato can help us find it. I think that's the Penguin. Let's go get some answers. This implied that we went across town, which
Sally
is disappointing.
Seashore, Luka brushed 30 recipes.
I think it's all the same descriptions of books. It's disappointing because if I had to travel here manually, I could have visited the Big Melon. This is a dang nice library. Thanks, we work hard on it. Aren't you a little young to be a librarian? Oh, Kato hung out here so much eventually they gave him a set of keys. That seems pretty wildly irresponsible, frankly. I just keep an eye on the place for Miss Novak sometimes. They got you working for free? What is this, an internship? Stupid America. It's quiet and I get access to all the books I can read. What more could a person or a penguin want? Fair enough. What can I do for you all? We need a favor. I already told you in Rollo. I can't put you any higher on the wait list for the next Hank Atomic. And if you're here with more candy, I'll have you know I can't be bought. Call it a personal code of conscience. Actually, we're here to do some research. Now you're speaking my language. What are you looking for? And that's the thing, we sorta don't know. What do you got on the history of the town? There's the county record archives. What's in those? Births, deaths, newspaper clippings, stuff like that. Pretty boring reading. But they do go all the way back to when the town was founded. Great, we'll start there.
Chapter 8.
Oh no, for some reason this time I'm covering... Hold on, this is very important. See that page number? Nice. Nice. Okay, I'm back. And I have to click the window again. Yeah, it's so like, I'm guessing it's implied that we spent like several months reading. That was next on the agenda.
6 feet under, 3 towns over.
3 towns over? Is there like a alpha build of Beacon Pines? 0.1?
The kids spent the rest of the afternoon combing through dusty piles of old county records, desperately searching for anything that could help them make sense of Mr. Tolliver's cryptic utterance. Luka tried to shake the thought of Gran's basement, but his focus wavered. Explosives, messages hidden in jam, dossiers on various town figures, and a corkboard threaded with photos.
It's almost like someone's trying to frame her. It's so cartoonish. But because it's sort of a cartoon game, I don't think that's what we're actually going for.
Gran was the only family he had left. He still couldn't bring himself to believe the worst. But the old map with the symbol of explosives in town square made that difficult. As the sun began to set, the kids were no closer to the truth.
Awesome. Excellent use of time. This feels very familiar to me. Someone struggling to manage his time. If I have to read any more records, my eyeballs are gonna pop. We have to keep digging. If I dig another word, I'm gonna end up in one of those asinine death records. Rollo Cotter lived a full and wonderful life, till he read so much boring crud his brain oozed out his
Rollo
ears.
shut his book with an assertive nod.
If you've got a better idea, spit it out. You sound like my sister. Keep pushing your luck, pal. And it won't be boring county records that kill you. I'll put you in the obituaries myself. I do like Beck. Beck is a very good character. If you are just joining us, these three characters are essentially our protagonists. On the very left there is Luka. He's our main character. His family's been embroiled with the history of this town's shady business that he has to unravel in order to presumably save the day and make it out of this dangerous situation alive. In the middle there is Beck. She's new to town. One of her moms got a job with the Perennial Harvest Company, and the other one's sort of a more traditional botanist, and they have been clashing over that. I think that sort of represents the historical clash between what the town was and what it currently is or aspires to be. On the right is Rollo. He sucks. He lives here and he's Luka's best friend, but contributes very little other than being kind of pompous and not being particularly pleasant or clever.
Rollo muttered under his breath.
You're a county record. See, I feel like he just made my point there. Like that's how you do that. Really? That's the best you've got? When I'm done with you, you'll be the footnote in history.
Beck
Just
slammed
like
her finger down on the open page before glancing down to read.
J. Hartford here. I'd love to see you try. Hey. We're all a little tired here. Let's just take a minute and...
the back of Luka's mind.
Wait, what was that name again? In the obit, it's J. Hartford. From the Brookville Tribune 8 years ago. That can't be right. What is it? J. Hartford. That's my grand's name. Juniper Hartford. Maybe there were two J. Hartfords? Mrs. Hartford is survived by her young daughter, E. Hartford. That's okay. Is that really how they do that stuff? I feel like you would list the name. That's very needlessly mysterious. Is it because we didn't... I don't honestly know if we've said Luka's mother's name before now. She vanished recently, which is why Gran moved to town. And then when she did that, Gran started investigating stuff and doing shady business herself. But like, I don't think I could tell you Luka's mom's name, but I'm assuming it starts with an E. My mom's name is Eleanor. There it is. Okay, this is getting creepy. If your Gran is 6 feet under 3 towns over, then who am I living
The
with?
question hung in the air.
Maybe Gran is also time traveling, and it's like that TV show Dark, where people die before they were born. Weird show. All right, gang, I gotta close up for the
Beck
night.
rubbed her eyes.
How late is it? Almost 10. Even though it's like broad day, like I can see those windows. It is broad daylight. Ah, crap, Pa's gonna kill me. I gotta go. Yeah, my parents will be worried sick. Okay, let's meet up as early as we can at the festival tomorrow. In this time, let's not waste a bunch of time like playing indoor soccer and like depressed napping. What are you gonna do about the unconscious man in your basement? As if I haven't had to deal with that before. This isn't amateur hour, Beck.
Luka's heart was pounding as he approached the house. If he was lucky, Gran, or whoever it was, hadn't gotten back yet.
Maybe it's Gran's evil twin, Narg, which definitely sounds like something that Pinky from Pinky and the Brain would say, which in turn maybe means that this whole thing is a scheme for a world conquest. It seems just as plausible as anything else.
And of course, there was Mr. Tolliver tied up and unconscious in the basement.
Yeah,
Dealing with him would be the first order of business. Luka shook out his arms to calm his nerves before entering.
Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah.
He held perfectly still, tempering his breath, and listened closely.
Why the spooky violin music? I mean, I get that he doesn't know who Gran is, but she hasn't exhibited any intention to kill... Wait a minute. If it's not Luka's grandmother, do you think it's his mom? She vanished mysteriously. We know almost nothing about those circumstances. We know that the weird substance in the source has some connection to, like, time manipulation. We also are aware of, like, a puddle of mutagen-like goop that, caused life to grow really quickly, but then, like, wither away. Like, maybe some combination of these elements caused his mother to age incredibly quickly, and then she had to come back to town posing as her own mother, because otherwise it would be suspicious.
She was asleep. His only hope was that she hadn't found Mr. Tolliver before dozing off.
Check on Mr. Tolliver in the basement. I don't remember reading that comment, Neko, but I trust that you did say that. See, I know something is suspicious because she didn't fix the kitchen. It's just as I left it. Including this. Yeah. Oh no!
Mr. Tolliver was nowhere to be seen.
I accomplished that mission fairly quickly. Hey, 1 second. My nose is really bothering me. I'm gonna try and blow it, but I'm gonna go away from the screen so you don't have to endure that. Be right back. Alright, that feels a little better. It's been really bothering me. Alright. Maybe he woke up, escaped from his bindings, and left without a trace.
Maybe Gran knew everything.
I mean, doesn't it seem most likely that... Like, I can't imagine a world in which this is, like, good for us, in theory. Because, like, it seems like the only realistic options are either that, like, Tolliver came here and, like, had access to the house to come downstairs in the first place because he's working with Gran, and if we view Gran as a threat, then, like, it's bad that they're working together. But, like, the only other way that he would get out is that, like, she would have helped him, right? So she, like, knows about it either way. So if the problem is that we don't want her to know about it, like, we obviously did a bad job, especially because the cabinet was, like, left open, and I know that's probably like a contrivance of gameplay so that we don't have to, like, open it manually, but, like, I mean, like, it's so ridiculous to imagine that, like, leaving that door open doesn't lead to her finding him. Like, it feels silly. What do I do?
Luka's hungry stomach groaned.
Eat
Not
food.
realizing it, he'd gone the entire day without eating.
Okay, I can figure this out. I just need a little brain food.
Luka rushed over to the pile of jam jars, unscrewed one, and shoveled a handful into his mouth.
Wasn't there, like, newsprint in one of these? I'm not sure I'd go, like, straight into, like, jamming that in my mouth. Jamming that jam. Jam. I'm afraid your jam delivery will be
He
delayed.
flipped the lid to read the label.
Mr. Nuncreed. Okay, now I can think. Wow, that's some powerful jam. So if Gran knows we tied up Mr. Tolliver, I'm screwed. If he doesn't know, then I need to play it cool. Guess the only option is to go to bed and act as though nothing happened. Gran will think Mr. Tolliver finished what he was sent to do and left when he was done. Go to sleep. If only K-Mac were here. He would appreciate that mission. Oh, she gone. Gran? Okay, stick to the grand plan. Go to bed and play it super chill.
As Luka climbed the final stair, the emotion of the day dragged heavily on him. With each consecutive step, his legs weakened. His stride began to falter. He tried to grab for the railing to steady himself.
That was not... Oh. So because Nuncreed is like a villain, the jam that they sent to him was like a sedative? Some sort of knockout jam?
Something was wrong.
Come on, legs! Just a few more steps!
Luka groaned and tried to move.
That's well
His
timed.
limbs might as well have been bolted to the ground. Through numb lips, he mumbled just before falling asleep.
Rosebud. The germ? Hey, we went to sleep. Mission accomplished. Man, we're knocking those quests out left and right now. Sweet boy. What did you get yourself into? Forever sleep, GG. Yeah, and that's the last branch of the story, too, so we're totally effed. Rest now and let me handle everything. 72 hours later.
Chapter 9. A speech to end all speeches. Luka awoke to find himself face down in bed. He moaned into his pillow. Why would Gran drug him?
Okay, now hang on a second. Listen. I know that Luka is suspicious of Gran right now, even though all of the narrative signs indicate that she's not the villain. It's fine. But, like, did Gran drug him, or did he, like, eat something that was meant for a bad person? Like, I'm not going to get into the ethics of drugging Mr. Nuncreed, but I will, as an aside, state, don't really have a problem with that. But, like, don't go stealing other people's food and then being mad about the consequence. That's on you, my guy.
Or rather, why was she trying to drug Mr. Nuncreed?
Okay, that's a better question, but let me pose you a counter question that I think should answer your question if you really think about it. Have you met Mr. Nuncreed? He is sketch incarnate.
Shaking the questions from his woozy head, Luka snapped back to the matter at hand.
The festival! Ah, my limbs! Just making sure there aren't, like, lurkin badges. Like, perhaps a badge called Lurk? Okay, that's all fine. Okay, none of that's changed. Why does the icebox make an almost refrigerator-like sound? If it's properly an icebox, that's not how icebox do. For some reason, I really wanted to be able to come down here and, like, shovel more knockout jam into my face and just black out again and then, like, lose the game. I don't know why, that's just where my head's at. To be fair to Luka, Mr. Nuncreed didn't try to kill him in this timeline. That's entirely irrelevant. My question was quite literally, have you met Mr. Nuncreed? Because simply interacting with him makes it clear that fellow is not trustworthy. I'm not saying he should know he's a murderer, but he should definitely know that he is not a trustworthy person who you should talk to at all. He's bad. He's bad minus. Like, literally, we didn't find out he was a murderer until well after we didn't like him. So, like, you definitely don't need to know that he's, like, a murder man. Where have you been? Rand put something in the jam. Yeah, we know. Secret messages for secret conspirators. Shh! Secret messages for secret conspirators. Not this one. The one intended for Mr. Nuncreed? Put me to sleep. Whoa ho ho! Sly devil. Sly. I think she's trying to remove him from the equation. He might be in danger. God, we have just like terrible. We are like the worst judge of character. I think that that's like Luka's like tragic flaw. Actually, is that he's a terrible judge of character. Like his best friend is Rollo. Strike one. Strike two. He thinks that Gran is like the ultimate villain. Although there's some evidence that suggests that. So like that isn't, completely darning evidence. Sly cop. I don't think that there's gonna be another Branchit cop, but I really wish that there was. But like also like, Luka didn't necessarily inherently trust Beck at first, but I think Beck trustworthy. Or maybe I'm the clown. Maybe I'm putting the clown makeup on now. Who knows? Eka says, I was saying Luka knew him as a child, so he would be blinded to the obvious creepiness. I don't buy that argument. I understand what you're saying, but I don't agree. Because, like, he still acts like Mr. Nuncreed. Like, he still has behavior of the creep. Which sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh card or something. Have you found anything? We looked around, but we haven't seen anything odd. Other than, like all the normal stuff in the town that's pretty weird. Your Gran is nowhere to be found. Mr. Cohen, sir. So Luka foolishly knocked himself out again and was soon fallen prey to a vicious cycle of jam, sleep for the rest of eternity. That surprisingly sounds like something out of the Zero Escape series, to be honest with you. Echo says, I think Luka's just blindly trusting of everyone. Why else would he be friends with a person like Rollo? That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I was just saying, was that, like, I think that the game wants us to believe that Luka's, like, fatal flaw is that he is a terrible judge of character. Which, like, I don't think it's just that he trusts everyone. I think he just, like, doesn't get it. Because, I mean, like, he doesn't trust his Gran. Like, if he just trusted everyone, then he would, like, fall into a trap with Gran or something. But, like, he doesn't trust her and probably should. But, like, then he trusts Rollo who he shouldn't. It's very complicated. What speech? Mayor Gus just got up to the podium. Everyone is gathering at the stage. Let's get moving. Loud walking noises.
Augustus
Hey, look, it's
Valentine
literally
nervously
everyone.
wiped his brow.
Is it? Hello, Beacon Pines. I'm Augustus Valentine, your mayor, and I suppose you already know that. Oh, yes. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize someone who couldn't be here today. This town wouldn't be where it is today without my father, Sharper Valentine. So I thought we could begin with a round of applause befitting such a great man. Even that's more than the old Kaja deserved.
Gus cleared his throat and awkwardly loosened his tie.
Right. Where was I? I for some reason I enjoy the notion that like he loosens his tie every time he gets nervous because he's just drawn by default with like an incredibly loose tie. So that like by the end of like a stressful day of mayoring, it's like basically like a belt. He's just like, I can't take much more of today.
William Kerr bounded on the stage with the energy of a preacher at a big tent revival.
Gus Valentine,
He
everyone.
gave Gus a hearty slap on the back and motioned him off the stage.
Let's hear it for our mayor. What a great turnout. Of course, it's mandatory attendance here, but I'm still pleased that you chose this over death. Aw, heck, I didn't prepare anything. But I suppose I could say a few words. What would be a shame to waste such a beautiful
Mr.
podium.
Kerr pulled a thick stack of note cards out from his vest.
Yeah, I didn't prepare anything. I sensed that coming. I agree, Sarah. I like that they recorded 4 people clapping. I mean, like, literally, even in a town this small, this seems like a markedly unenthusiastic response. It's quite the opposite of what they'll sometimes do for, like, Hallmark movies. Most typically, when they're trying to be like, oh, yes, this small town has a Christmas choir, it's made up of 4 people, but it definitely sounds like 120 people vocalizing together. And it's like, that's clearly wrong. Like, I don't know anything about music, and I can tell this is wrong. Community, conviction, commitment. These are the things we celebrate at Perennial Harvest. For us, these are the pillars of the bridge to a better tomorrow. Do pillars have bridges? Never mind. But I think it's time to add a new pillar. Change. Change is a powerful thing. You may recall that this is a story about change. Or perhaps it's a story about struggle. It's inexorable, unavoidable, and undeniable. And I am dadgum thankful for it. Change is the reason we're all together today. It's hard for me to believe that it was only 4 years ago when fate brought me here. A simple business trip which brought me to a small town which would forever change my
Mr.
life.
Kerr took a moment to survey the crowd.
You know
wiped
what?
away a single tear.
From the second I set foot in Beacon Pines, something about this place has held me captive. It's Zero. Zero came to this town and put a bracelet on my wrist, and if I violate the rules, the gut bomb will explode. It'll be a super bad time for me, but there will be jam for all. Anyway, change represents opportunity. This is basically Business 101. It represents potential. It was change that helped me recognize the potential of this place. To see that the people of this town, despite suffering great loss, still held on to the things that made them
thumped
special.
the podium to emphasize each word.
I have the ever so smallest complaint that, like, I get in like the rhythm of like trying to like read along with like a character like line by line, and then when the narrator interjects, she comes in super quick. And so, like, what will often happen is that, like, I'll still be, like, reading the end of the line, and then she's, like, talking over me. And it's, like, not a huge deal, but it's, like, the pacing just feels weird to me. And it's, like, not even the sort of thing I would expect a game developer to test, because, like, this is an abnormal circumstance. But, like, on a personal level, it's, like... Echo says, I remember this from Lovecraft. The bridges above and connecting pillars is the entablature. Yeah, you know, I gotta tell you, I mostly only know, like, things that reference Lovecraft, not much Lovecraft itself. But, from my understanding, that sure does sound like a Lovecraft thing. I'll take your word on that. Community, conviction, commitment, change.
Mr. Kerr nodded confidently, biting his lip. The crowd was silent, in rapt attention.
Fate made a perfect match that day. Nothing is more important to you all than community. And Perennial Harvest is a community first
Mr.
and
Kerr
foremost.
methodically made eye contact with each section of the crowd.
The only way you made it through the foul harvest was an unshakable conviction. A conviction that a better tomorrow was just over the horizon. Perennial Harvest was founded on the conviction that we are that horizon. This festival is a symbol of our commitment to each other.
His voice began to build to a crescendo.
We now walk hand in hand into a future we will shape together with our hands, which will be messy because they're holding each other's hands. Hold on, let me start over. And that is what change is all about. And that is the true meaning of Christmas or something. Grabbing the future by the scruff of the neck and making things happen. Change is a choice, or perhaps a choice leads to change? I am tickled pink that we will all be making that choice together. How great is that? Just imagine what we can accomplish. What was
The crowd
that?
began to look around nervously.
Don't worry, a little thunder isn't going to ruin this day. Everyone remain calm.
Mr. Kerr quickly flicked through his note cards.
Where was I? Through all of my travels, I have learned one true thing. One always reaps what they sow. We have all planted a lot of good in this town. And so it is with a happy heart that I can proclaim...
He raised his hands up to the heavens.
And then he froze to death? Yeah, alright, that tracks. So this starts to make more sense to me.
At that moment, a merciless wall of impossibly cold air ripped through the crowd, instantly freezing everyone and everything it touched.
I don't like that description, because no matter how cold air is, it's not gonna cause an entire town to, like, freeze solid instantaneously. I realize it's just, like, poetic or whatever, but, like, I feel like it's suggesting that, like, oh no, the winter wind came through and everyone literally froze to death. And it's like, no, I mean, it's clearly more complicated than that.
For a man like William Kerr, this was a fitting way for things to end. On a stage, with an entire town frozen in rapt attention for the rest of time.
Isn't it a really weird ending by comparison to the others because it focuses so much on Kerr? Like, it's, like, clearly from his perspective, which it just feels weird. It says, we all have 4 arms here at Perennial Harvest, and it's perfectly normal and not terrifying at all. Agreed. We also have, like, a hive mind of clipboard people. Unless it's, like, 0 degrees Kelvin, in which case you have far larger problems. Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't have sufficient frame of reference like that. Like, literally, a wave of 0 degree Kelvin air might be able to do that, but, like, yeah, I feel like it's more complicated than just a cold wind at that point. Like, that's definitely some sort of science fiction disaster.
The end. There's that ice again! Whenever I think we're getting close, it comes along and ruins everything! Maybe we should just quit? Maybe you should just close the book, walk away, and never think of me again!
Is she calling herself the book or the story? I guess she's calling herself the story. That's a little interesting. Imagine if this is the ending. I mean, it could be. We could just shut off the stream. I don't know.
I don't mean that.
I got a little heated because of how cold it was. Do you see what I did there?
We got a little closer this time. We just need to try again.
This is a little weird. So it feels a little weird that there's, like, almost an artificial dead end to a lot of these, but, like, they're mostly pretty justified by the story. There's something about it that feels weird in a way that I have difficulty articulating. Sarah, did you like how emotional she got? Was that your reaction? Okay, so I can be Sly Cop. That's wild, actually. I really wasn't expecting that. Can I Sly anything else? Alright, I guess it's Sly Noon over here. Not Fire Cop? No, I mean, if we could be Fire Cop, we could already have done it. So hang on. Chill Cop, I think, was Luka, and that was a failure. Hard Cop was Rolo, so Sly Cop will be Beck? Sly copper. Nice.
They'd run the classic good cop, sly cop interrogation. Luka and Rollo ducked behind a barrel, leaving Beck to her task. With a few crisp snaps, she roused Mr. Tolliver.
What? What's going on here? You're that mold wheel girl. Please, call me back. Sorry about all
Mr.
this.
Tolliver looked down and shifted a bit, testing his restraints.
It seems there's been a mix-up. You see, I'm down here for the same reason you are. Juniper sent you
Beck
here?
caught herself before letting the surprise manifest on her face.
Answering my own earlier question, no, I will never settle on a single voice for this guy. He's just going to be in this weird range forever. For eternity. Hey, Ice Bunny, good to see you. How are you doing?
She'd already gotten him to reveal his relation to Gran. This was gonna be easy.
You know how Juniper is with her precautions. Operation Sparkplug has us all on edge. I guess she thought you needed some backup. But she sent a child? What better way to avoid prying eyes? Who would suspect a kid? I suppose that makes sense.
Mr. Tolliver wriggled a bit in his restraints.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Beck quickly removed the ropes.
This guy has, like, no peripheral vision. Like, there's clearly, like, two other people directly in his eye line. That had to be uncomfortable. A little, yeah. But you understand. We never know who to trust in
Mr.
this
Tolliver
town.
rubbed the growing knot on his forehead.
Very true. So, it turns out we're both here to, what was
Beck
it again?
twirled her hand, as if to prompt Mr. Tolliver to finish her thought.
Destroy the
Beck
evidence!
shook her head and clicked her tongue.
Yep, the old gal is nothing if not
Mr.
thorough.
Tolliver let out an amused huff in agreement.
Not too special, but still kicking it. I mean, that sounds relatively good in the scheme of things. She sure is. Can't blame her, though. If anyone were to find out we're going to destroy the source, well, we both know how bad that might be. No one will know anything once I finish cleaning things up
Beck
down
was on a
here.
roll now, playing Mr. Tolliver like a fiddle.
You're sure you can finish this on your own? Juniper trusted me for a reason. You can leave the rest to me. Good, there's one more loose end I'll work on. God, just for some reason I can't figure this man out. Loose end? It's nothing really. The other day I had the radio on scan while restocking the candy shelf. And wouldn't you know it, I intercepted an odd phrase in a perennial harvest transmission. Underground secrets. Well, that's ominous. I think it might be a password, but Juniper dismissed it. Said it wasn't mission critical. What's the password for? We don't know. So, we have a password and know where to put it? It's gotta mean something, right? Good thinking. You should probably go work that out. I've got this under control. That's a relief. Between you and me, this basement gives me the willies.
Heading for the stairs, Mr. Tolliver hesitated and turned to Beck with a puzzled look. She grinned and gave him a peppy wave. With a shrug, he continued up the stairs, whistling a jaunty tune.
You guys catch that? Sure did! This whole time, Mr. Tolliver's had a candy shelf. Rollo, I don't like you. But all he ever sells us is apples!
Beck blinked slowly in disappointment.
I'd love it if, like, apropos of nothing, she made the same thread about, like, putting him in the obituary from, like, the other timeline that we just experienced. She's got, like, a real hard edge to her. The password, Rollo. Well, sure, once things are back to normal, I'll be having a word with Mr. Tolliver about that candy shelf. Fine, in the meantime, I've got an idea.
She turned to the table and began tearing small scraps of paper.
He said he heard a password on the radio. Any good spy transmission is never what it
Beck
seems.
marked each scrap of paper and leaned back.
We just need to find the hidden meaning. Okay. What's another word for underground? Buried? Covered? Could it be a cover-up? Maybe it's one of those each letter is a number thingies. We really are playing Zero Escape, huh? So, you would be 21. N would be 14. Hey, what do you think, just spitballing here, what do you think Q would be? D would be... Ooh! It's an anagram! Nun Creed's drugstore! Aw, darn. That's probably actually it, huh? That's very suspicious. Also, we definitely are playing Zero Escape. Everything that's happened in this conversation is very Zero Escape. Well, I suppose a lot of that is just puzzle game, to be honest. If it goes long enough, you'll run into some variation of most of those puzzles. We're gonna find the digital route. We might have to
Luka
do
and
it.
Beck looked at Rollo with amazement.
What's the one, like... Two Milkmen Go comedy? Everyone here has a lot of very specific skills. That's like definitely... That's definitely how stuff works. You assemble your team of heroes to like randomly have like the skills you need, and not because it's plausible for them to have them. At least in this type of story. Especially since it takes them all day to deliver jam. But that's the thing. It's like building an RPG character. Like, super good at identifying anagrams. Like, that costs, like, 10 skill points. Like, being remotely competent at delivering jam costs, like, 2. But we only had 8 to begin with. So, like, Rollo also had to take, like, personality defects in order to hit the 10 needed to anagram. Well, it's either that or Kren's nude rug store. Now, hang on. I think you might be onto something with that one. But who's Kren, and how do we get into his nude rug store? Yeah, I think you were right the first time. How did you do that? What can I say? I love ciphers. Well, I guess we know where to go next. Investigate Nun Creed's drugstore. Whee! Oh, do I need to stealth? Hi? You scared me half to death. Sorry. You kids haven't seen Mr. Tolliver around, have you? No. Chad has jumped into the deep dark end of assuming what a nude rug store would involve. I'm inclined to agree with Demolition that it's a nice rug store where you just have to be naked. It's sort of like a low-key, like, swingers club or something. Like, I mean, it could be something even worse than that, but I think it's just like, well, if you have to be naked, you might as well have these, like, extremely nice rugs to lie down on. That's what I think. He's got me waiting around like the last slice of pie. I swear that man would be late to his own funeral. Okay, bye. I didn't get, like, a late keyword or anything. I don't think I have anything new to fish with, but I think I'm really close to finishing fishing. No, right. You can't back out of this choice for reasons.
A feather. Good for...
Now I can leave. A real store? There's some Russian department store that offered 95% off their prices if you went in completely naked. That feels like it's definitely a scam. Like, I don't know what the scope of it is, but, like, that definitely sounds like a scam. You're late, Augustus. Sorry, sister. Was caught up with work. It's always very natural to address your sibling thusly. Work? You? I had a few more details to lock down for the festival. Oh, what do you have to report? What is this insipid town festival really about?
Gus looked around nervously.
I think Mr. Kerr really does just want to do something good for the town. Well, it's no wonder that the town has gone to crap that the mayor believes that for sure. He's actually a pretty nice guy. You should spend some time with him. I didn't pull strings installing you as mayor so you could make friends. Your job is to help me figure out what Kerr and Perennial Harvest's true intentions are with this town. We have a responsibility. This is our father's town. Was? Excuse me? This was our father's town. He's gone, Eris, and he isn't coming back. Father left us with nothing but problems. Mr. Kerr came here and offered to help us. We accepted that help. We didn't agree to them turning Father's warehouse into a toxic dumping ground. That is just a temporary arrangement. That glow can be seen from our darned backyard. They're dumping on their nasty little secrets on us. When this all inevitably goes wrong, who do you think will be blamed?
Cry hung in the air.
Oh dear. All our secret conversations out in the open. There's this, to be fair, my sister and I address each other like that, but we also talk like Gru when we do it. That seems to track, yeah. I mean, I feel like you can sort of get away with that if you're, like, in some sort of live-action Victorian-era roleplay. Like, that also kind of works. But, like, it feels very expositional for, like, a casual small-town America vibe. And we're, like, 8 hours into the game or whatever. We have a new choice to make now, sister. This town is going to change whether we like it or not. Are we going to choose to be a part of that future, or be forgotten in the past? It's a shame. Father named you Augustus, but you will always just be a Gus. Good night, Eris. I don't think I fully understood your burn, but I'm still hurt by it. I'll see you at breakfast tomorrow. Please don't yell at me more. It's getting late, children. We definitely didn't overhear all of that or anything. Don't worry about it. Now I know what you're thinking. That's not the way to Nuncreed's drugstore. And to you I say, yup. Alright, I feel a little better now. I wonder if there's like a second achievement for slapping the melon. That's why you come to the channel. And an unnecessary overcommitment to really stupid jokes that hopefully come back around. Have I correctly summarized that, Demolition? Almost every time I play a video game, if there's something like that in there, I'm like, I'm gonna run this into the ground. This will not be funny by the time I'm done playing.
Solomon stood proudly at the entrance to the drugstore.
I know I gave you some kind of British accent thing, but I don't remember what it sounded like now. 1-800 we are slapping.
Holding a brown bag overflowing with black licorice.
Hey, Solomon. We're looking for Mr. Nuncreed. Is he in there committing crimes? I'm afraid not. Then where'd you get the candy from? You might say we have an arrangement.
Solomon shoveled a surprising amount of licorice into his mouth.
Sometimes it's the small pleasures in life. Though we might not always have family to rely on, licorice has never let me down. Well, I can't say licorice would be my first choice. But whatever floats your boat. You can tell a lot about a person by their choice of confection. Oh, yeah, sure, whatever. I like sour gobs. Literally no one asked you. I'm certain you do. I always wondered why Mr. Nuncreed kept licorice in stock. You must eat enough of it to make it worthwhile. There are many ways to earn loyalty. For some, it's as easy as cold, hard cash. Okay, I love you, bye-bye. He's right, it's locked. I don't know why we thought we'd be able to investigate the drugstore at like 10 p.m. There's gotta be more clues! Okay, let's see. I'm gonna guess it's the light-up phone booth that got us killed sometime. Yeah, it lacks subtlety, but sure. Have you ever seen anyone actually use this thing? Besides Mr. Nuncreed? No.
Beck cupped her hands on the glass to peek inside.
I mean, it's glass. Like, it's glass? Like, it's just glass. Literally see-through. That is not a normal phone booth. It's got, like, a blinky keypad. Why would there be a blinky keypad? Kren's Nude Rug Store! He's got a point. I think that's probably how you would get into Kren's Nude Rug Store. Also, like, if... I get that this is meant to facilitate us, like, going into the underground and discovering what's there, because none of the other paths have actually led us there, and we don't really know what's down there other than some sort of secret base. But, like, this clue doesn't make any sense. Like, why are they broadcasting over radio frequency? Like, this thing that leads you to the drugstore? Like, and then, like, it's not even in the drugstore? Like, I just don't get it. It's, like, too confusing to be direct, and it's too indirect to be helpful. Because, like, it seems like phone booths would be a better clue, because there's, like, none other phone booths, and this one actually gets you someplace. But, like, sending you to Nuncreed's drugstore, just, like, what are you gonna... Maybe you buy licorice. Like, it doesn't actually, like, take you here. Like, even, like, the street name feels like a better clue than the drugstore. I mean, Underground Secrets! The password!
Beck flung open the door, and they all squeezed in.
Okay, did we investigate the drugstore, or are you using those words wrong? All right, let's see here.
Luka cracked his knuckles and entered the letters into the keypad.
Underground Secrets. That's like an incredibly long password to dial into a phone. Great, now what? I guess we are.
The inside of the phone booth dropped loose from its shell. Without even the space to panic, they closed their eyes, held their breath, and accepted their fate.
Rip.
Suddenly, the chaotic descent slowed to an effortless landing. It was unclear where they ended up, but at least it was solid ground.
Nude Rug Store.
The air was stagnant and smelled vaguely of chlorine.
I knew it! You knew that there was a secret hub full of strange tubes under the phone booth? Of course I did. Didn't I say that? No. I definitely thought it. Luka, do you remember when I said how cool it would be if the transdimensional conduits from Hank Atomic issue number 12 were real? Rolo, at one point or another, you said that about every technology ever discussed in Hank Atomic. That's why I'm such a good predictor. Looks like each of these has something written on them. This suit has a broken mask. So, have we found our mystery warehouse creeper? We've at least found their hazmat suit. If it walks like a Nuncreed and talks like a Nuncreed, let's not jump to conclusions. Just saying. Like it says, eating licorice every day can cause arrhythmia and even heart attacks due to containing I can't pronounce that. Glycerin. That's like another reason not to do it. I mean, what is it? How much does licorice contain? Like, how much do you have to eat daily for that to happen? That's really intense. The main reason it's gross. Does it need more than one? It's like skinning a cat. That expression claims that there are many ways to do it, but why? Mining Operations Alpha. You guys have mines here? Not that I know of. This town is all farms and fertilizer. And a series of tubes. Oh, of course, this series of tubes is the internet. That explains everything. Pa always says you can only trust a miner up to the point when they hit gold. I'm not sure how that wisdom applies in this exact situation. That's the thing about Pa. You don't always realize what he means until it's too late. Wow, I see where you get it, huh? Of just trying to take credit for stuff after the fact? So you're not actually good at anything, but you think you're really good at everything? Hello, anime. You just beat Star Ocean. Divine Force. It was good, but the final dungeon made you refight the two most annoying bosses in the game. Ooh, that's rough. Stuff like that gets me very tilted. Perennial Harvest main office. That's where my mom works. What does she do? Science stuff. Is she involved in all of this? We just moved here. How could she be involved? True. I mean, technically, Gran, like, basically just moved here. Valentine Fertilizer Warehouse. Isn't that where you got almost snatched? Yeah. Why would Perennial Harvest have a tube going to the old Valentine place? This is starting to feel like something big. Oh, hang on. Let me go press some buttons or something. Apparently about 57 grams of licorice a day, every day for 2 weeks will cause problems. Yeah, but, like, how did anyone even figure that out? For the reason that, like, why would you eat that much licorice? Substance accumulates in the body, however, so you could experience side effects from eating less over a longer period of time. I feel like you're representing, like, big anti-licorice or small licorice. I don't know how this works. Some sort of propaganda agent opposed to licorice. What's the antithesis of licorice? Important question, chat. What is the antithesis of licorice? What is anti-licorice? There's a lot of buttons. Stand aside, Earthlings. I've read enough Hank Atomic to know my way around sci-fi
Zula's
tech.
hands hovered over the field of blinking buttons.
Eeny, meeny, miny. It switched from suck to blow. Rolo, what did you do? Nothing! I didn't even mow yet! What was that? Right. Where? There's nothing but weird tubes down here. Just get back. Uh-oh, it Nuncreed. We already have that badge. So if this is Nuncreed's response to finding these kids, then Nuncreed probably also was the one wearing the hazmat suit at the warehouse in the first place. He also just came from the warehouse, so, like, that's probably all true. Here's some guesses. Lemon drops, salt licorice? Candy corn. Something bland. Wait, do we have the impression that licorice is, like, super intensely flavored? I'm not sure bland is, like, the main thing that comes to mind. Watch a lot of toxicology videos. If that's the case, then I'm sure somewhere there's, like, a CSI episode about this. Awesome! Well, one of us is having a good time. You all need to come with me now. We aren't going anywhere with you, stranger danger. Not until we get some answers. Mr. Underground Secrets! I told them it was an absurd password, but they love anything that makes them feel clever. They who? That's no matter. If I can keep you hidden until after the festival, I might be able to save your skins. We don't care about our skins. Hold on now, I like my skin. This all stops now, Nuncreed.
Joseph waited for a moment in silence.
You sound just like him. Who? Walt. You don't get to talk about my dad. You know, your father and I were friends back before.
He gestured toward the strange tubes.
The strange tubes, I mean. Wait, Ice Bunny, you suggest that the red American version of licorice is the antithesis to black licorice? But, like, they're not entirely dissimilar, right? What is your take on the difference? Because if I understand correctly, black licorice is more popular in, like, your neck of the woods there, isn't it? Isn't it sort of like a more widely appreciated in sort of Eastern European countries? I'm also terrible at geography and world, so... saltier the better. I just don't think I have enough frame of reference to judge that. Also chocolate licorice. But chocolate licorice is still licorice, right? Like, what's... So, like, let me put it this way. You know how, like, hypothetically with, you got matter and you got antimatter, and you, like, put them together and it makes, you know, a huge explosion? You got licorice. What's anti-licorice? What is it that you touch to licorice and then you cause, like, an intense reaction on, like, a chemical level? And that's a lie. It's true. I used to bounce you on my knee. What happened? Same thing that always happens. Reality, complications, life. We were a team, Walt and I. An idealistic doctor and a bright-eyed pharmacist. Both bent on helping folks. So you were his sidekick? No. We were partners. He helped the patients and I helped him. Yep, total
Nunfried
sidekick.
let out a growl of a sigh.
Squid. Squid is an interesting answer. Luka, I need you to know this. I need someone to know this. One day, Sharper Valentine comes to us. Says he's got an opportunity. He'd found something he didn't quite understand, and he was willing to pay us both handsomely to help him understand it. And my dad said no. Your father and I both believed in helping people, but the thing I could never get him to understand was it's a lot easier to help others if you help yourself now and then. Classic sidekick and villain plotline. Walt loved being righteous almost more than he loved his family. He was wrong about one thing, though. When he begged me not to take Valentine's offer, he said, Joseph, if a person says yes one time to Sharper Valentine, he'll make sure they keep on saying yes to him until the day he's dead and gone.
He shook his head wistfully.
Sharper's long gone, but he's still got me saying yes. Is there a point to this sob story of yours? Not really, no. Just an old man trying to delay what needs doing.
Nunfried took a menacing step towards the children.
I tried to keep you safe. I tried to keep you and Juniper out of this. But you forced my
Luka
hand.
began to laugh.
What? You really don't know? My gran isn't out of this. She's been scheming right under your nose. Wow. What a awesome move, Luka. What a big brain play. Of, like, get your grandmother killed for no value after you die. Juniper? Seems like she's planning on crashing the town's party. She's going to disrupt the festival? Why would she?
The color drained from Nunfried's face.
How does she know? Apparently she knows a lot of things. What? Let's just say this isn't the only underground lair we busted into today. And honestly, hers is way cooler. Is it? I mean, this one has, like, weird tubes and a sci-fi panel. And, like, a cool secret entrance. Hers has, like, a sliding door and jam. She's got maps and explosives and big intentions. It's bad, man.
Nunfried grabbed Luka by the shoulders. His eyes were frantic.
You need to tell me what she's going to do right now. She doesn't understand what she's messing with. Tell me now. She's in danger, boy. I don't know. She had a map with a mark on the fountain in town square. The fountain?
A
But
jolt
why
of
would...
realization struck Mr. Nuncreed.
She knows about the source? What the heck is the source? If she tries to destroy the source, it could catalyze and... Dear God, she's going to freeze us all. Beep beep boop. Smell you later, kids. You all need to run. Run where? Away. As far away from this town as you can get. Head west and don't look back. Bye! That did not go how I expected. So... We're totally following him, right? Yep, totally. See you on the other side! That sounded really painful. You good? Yep. I love this town.
Chapter 8.
Okay, I think I figured it out. Abandon Rolo. I mean, good strategy, pro strategy, for sure. So we know that the source lives under the town and has mysterious properties. We also know that we built this city on rock and roll. So what if the magical source of the Ice Age was rock and roll all along? And that's why when rock and roll music became popular in the 20th century, everyone thought it was like the end of the world. Huh?
The cold, hard truth. Beck leapt up, allowing the suction to yank her into the dark. Dimness eclipsed around her like the shutter of a camera as she seemed to cover great distance in mere moments.
Wait, are we controlling just Beck now? We haven't done something like that before.
Her only points of reference were glints of upcoming turns, which approached with frightening speed, only to carom her gracefully along.
This sounds, both from the literal noise that plays when people jump into the tube, but also from that description, sounds really painful and unpleasant.
She heard the tinny, distant echoes of Rolo's glee. Once she stopped fighting against it, the ride was impossibly smooth. Then, all of a sudden, as if minutes had passed in an instant, light blazed into view.
Yeah, carom is not a common word. I think it's a magic card, so I think I technically knew it. I think the magic card redirects damage, and I think carom roughly means something like that, like redirecting, changing course. Also, you know, on these various branches, we reach these milestones in the story at different times, but just wanted to point out that, oh, no, that's the wrong... I did the opposite of what I wanted to do. I made the game go away. There, look. Nice again! Oh, man. It's Friday, and I'm tired, and I have no shame. Great. Oh, now I have to click the window again. Hey, it's worth it, maybe. Maybe it's worth it? Maybe it's maybe.
A burst of wintry air snuffed across her face, and she was flung out into the cold.
Oh, it's out of the wood thing? Yeah, that. See, that's fun, because that was established earlier, and it didn't have contextual meaning yet. That was intense. Yeah. I think I might have parted with some fluids in there. Oh, God. Why did he have to go first? No one's worried about that? Okay. Any idea where we are? Somewhere cold. Doesn't look like it got on any of us. It didn't feel like we traveled that far. So where did it all go? This place sucks. Why would anyone even want to blow something up out here? Only one way to find out, I suppose. Gotta catch up to Nuncreed. I think he went this way. Catch up to Nuncreed. I could go up, but there's really no need to. Here, let's get this plot point out of the way. Maybe we can clear off the snow. No time, Nuncreed's getting away. Oh, no, I can't. No, or can I? Can I? No, in this version I can't do it. Nani? Beacon Pines 1.0, etc., etc. Okay, this is starting to feel really familiar. I may not be the most well-versed on all things Beacon Pines, but this does look like some kind of frozen replica town. Ah, I got it! It's so obvious now. Mr. Nuncreed is an alien. Rollo, I swear to God. Stick with me here. His species can only live in sub-zero temperatures. Oh, boy, save us, please. The source is their base camp dimension, so naturally they keep it cold. We found it by traveling through those metallic wormholes back there. The final objective? Kill us all and shapeshift into a Beacon Pine citizen of their choosing. You never really had me, but you very much lost me there. You get used to it. We should keep moving and not listen to Rollo ever again.
As they rounded the corner to the frozen town square, they spotted Mr. Nuncreed inching cautiously toward a pit at its center.
Okay, so tell me, what's the word? We're almost definitely going to get a word, and then this branch of the story is going to end pretty soon, probably, most likely. So, like, what word do you think it's going to be? I mean, we already have slap and incendiary. What's weird is it feels like this is probably where I'm meant to get incendiary, but I already had incendiary and no place to use it. Bird is the word. That's a good guess. Love. Well, it's all you need. Maybe it'll get us to the end of the story. I think it's carom. I think that's the word.
He held his arms out gingerly, as if approaching a beast in the wild.
You're hoping for machicolations? I feel like you're just trying to get me with all these big words, Neko. It's Friday. Do you not understand it's Friday? I mean, it's Saturday for you. That's fine. But you have a long list of love. Do you have like a Lovecraftian like vocabulary word a day calendar? I feel like that would very much have the real life effect that like gaining forbidden knowledge in Lovecraftian fiction is supposed to have, of like altering your perception of the world.
Upon closing the distance, Luka recognized what Nuncreed was after. Gran stood confidently at the edge, one arm outstretched over the abyss. Nearby, a wheelbarrow had been emptied out. She held a lit torch, which flickered in the bitter wind.
She dumped jam in the hole. She made a big jam hole. She jammed up that hole. Juniper, I don't know what you think you're doing, but I assure you this is not going to solve anything. If you drop that, you've doomed this whole town. Oh, it wasn't me who doomed this town. I've been watching you, Joseph. I know what you've done. You and your co-conspirators. Gran, what's happening? Luka, you and your friends need to leave right this moment.
Mr. Nuncreed turned back toward the kids, desperation in his eyes.
Listen to your grandma, Luka. This is between me and Juniper.
Rollo and back held steadfast in awe. Luka approached closer. Mr. Nuncreed spun back toward Gran, his voice growing louder.
You've got it all wrong, Juniper. Just hand over that torch. You don't understand what you're doing. How could I possibly trust you to do the right thing? Walt told me everything. He trusted you, and you betrayed that trust. Luka, did you know that this man's entire life is a lie? She's about to ruin this man's whole career. If it weren't for him, your father might still be alive, maybe. There's no one knows for sure, but I could just assume and feel better about killing him or whatever.
Mr. Nuncreed winced with anguish. His voice hardened.
That's not
they both
true.
now yelled, not to each other, but at fate itself, making their peace with long-held burdens. The wind howled with encouragement.
This is getting so melodramatic that I'm expecting someone to put on a dual disc. Walt was like a brother to me. We just had different ideas about how to affect change. Because this is a story about change after all. Very convenient that your way just happened to line your pockets. No, that's not fair.
They menaced at each other, both catching their breath.
It's an interesting way to use the word menace.
Edge.
Ooh, like a thing. I haven't had one of these in a minute.
Memories. Luka's mind flooded with questions. The wind calmed, as if to give him the stage.
And in the stillness, he began to... slap? I hope he slapped. Put your best guesses in chat as to what verb we're going to use before we get to see what the options are. Meanwhile, Angel has requested that I give VIP to Neko. I feel like at some point I should put some rules on this. Mostly because I don't want to keep moving it around. But I will honor your request, Angel. If you so insist. I wish we had explode. I think incendiary is the closest thing we have to explode. He began to pungent. That could be it. It could be that. It could be. We could be. He began to cry. That would be spectacular. That's like definitely a way to get someone's attention, isn't it? You keep hearing Nut Creek. I mean, it's basically the same thing, right? All right, let's find out. Nope, I have to click the thing again because I was doing chat. This is like a totally normal problem that for some reason just completely vexes me. You know, I hadn't pegged either of these. We only pretty recently got Weep, and I frankly don't remember when we got Hum, and neither one of them has been useful for anything. So, Jakey actually called it with Cry, and I'd completely forgotten that that word was there. And in honor of that, because I don't really know what to pick, I will go with the option that Jakey had guessed.
And in the stillness, he began to weep. It was all just too much. Falling to his knees, Luka whimpered softly. The tears crystallized as they hit the snow. Gran stared at Luka for a moment with warm sympathy, remembering why this was all necessary.
And then she blew them all up. This'll all make sense soon, Luka. Then everything can go back to normal. Yeah, sure. I promise.
She stiffened up and brandished the torch at Mr. Nuncreed.
Is he Frankenstein's monster? You can't hide behind those people any longer, Joseph. Once their precious source is destroyed, we'll see where their loyalties fall. Juniper,
Ignoring
don't!
his final plea, Gran flung the torch into the deep darkness.
Hooray! Rip.
She smiled and exhaled in relief. Mr. Nuncreed moaned in resignation.
Long day was long. Well, you're here now. So time might start changing directions abruptly because of the nature of this game, but it's good to have you, Cotillion. How is it going?
The torch echoed as it ricocheted down the hole, punctuated with a thunderous thud.
You see, Joseph, I've learned one very important lesson in life. If you want things to change, you must be willing to explode.
Before Gran could finish, the ground shook her to silence.
That's a cool noise.
Gran only had time to spin around and run to Luka.
There's something that I really like about this concept that I somehow don't feel like this game is really capitalizing on. Like the idea of a time loop that ends in like some preposterous thing that like you just have no frame of reference for is like really interesting to me. Is like some of these endings, like you basically have no context for why this has happened to you. But like, so many of these paths seem to like just circle the drain on this very similar idea. And while I think it's a cool idea, I feel like there's not enough. How do I put this? I feel like the game doesn't explore enough angles of what could be happening when this happens. I really am having trouble articulating this. Like, I think this idea is cool. I'm disappointed that like most of these are just sort of like, and the story abruptly end with it, with the freezing happening. It's, I don't immediately know what I would want to change, but there's something about it that feels off. How big are the people that the lady is not hiding for the dude on the left? Do you mean why are Luka's friends hiding? I mean, like, they were just, like, intimidated by the situation, and, like, I think it's just sort of, like, dramatic license that they weren't seen because the other characters were shouting at each other instead of, like, looking for more interlopers.
Her attempt to shield him, an honorable but trifling act.
A lot of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe vibes. It's been too long for me to appreciate your implication. Maybe give some more context is what's needed. It's, that's an interesting thought. I almost think it's the opposite of that. And let me explain why I think that is. Because once one of these paths... you've helped me get close, maybe. Once one of these paths kind of points you in the direction of what's happening, is that, like, Gran's ultimate goal is to get to the source and to blow it up on the day of the festival, then, like, all these other story paths, like, you suddenly have context for this thing that's supposed to be, like, surprising in the moment. And so, like, I almost feel like we have too much context for too high a percentage of the story, because it's going for, like, a branching story with, like, different things happening. I mean, it's also something... I mean, I kind of feel like the scope or the scale, which I tried to say both at the same time and went with scape. I think the scape is almost too big, and I understand why they've done that, is they want to be able to use this to, like, really abruptly end the story. And I feel like we're leaning on that maybe a little bit too heavily. Like, again, I think the idea is cool, but, like, now we have, like, maybe, like, one or two endings that are, like, alternate to this concept, and, like, maybe 5 that are just, like, and the whole town froze.
Unflinching love, pitted against an unthinking horror, there was no contest. Her warm embrace froze in an instant. That is where they remain, fixed in place, forever.
It's, I mean, I think an element of it is that the player has too much information. I also just think it's that, to some extent, there's not enough distinction between the end result of the branches. Like, okay, we'll take it a step further. The reliance on this ending with Gran lighting a torch and exploding the source and freezing everything. The fact that so many endings essentially end the same way make it feel like your choices don't matter. And it's already, like, a pretty fixed story overall. There are branches, but, like, honestly, the way that you get access to the charms, you don't have, like, a tremendous amount of agency in which direction you want to take the story. There are certain things it, like, needs you to do before you'll get the specific charms that it wants you to use to open up other parts of the story. So, like, you already don't have, like, a ton of choices, which is a thing I've, like, consistently grumbled a little bit about. But the fact that, like, those few choices all seem to end largely the same way is a little discouraging. I think that's about it. I think with some prompting there, Anime, that's pretty close to the point I wanted to make. There's not a lot of replay. I mean, I wouldn't quite put it that way, Jakey, because this isn't necessarily a game I would expect to have a lot of replay. It's the type of game that, like, you're meant to play all the different angles of the story to get to one true ending. At least that's my impression at this point. This is my first time playing through the game, so I could be mistaken about that. But that's the impression that I get. So, like, it's not so much that I'm concerned about that as it is that, like, it feels a little discouraging that, like, the game kind of bills itself as, like, a choose-your-own adventure, but you don't do a ton of choosing, and the outcome is usually the same. And I feel like those two details are the sort of things that really impact the effectiveness of this type of story. Now, that's not to say that I think that this story is bad. It's just that, like, I feel like I'm seeing opportunities that this could have been more exciting. And he says it might also be good to do the Zero Escape thing of locking certain endings behind other endings. The thing is, I think it's doing that, and I don't actually think it's good for this type of story. Because whereas, like, the Zero Escape games typically have, like, a true ending, and they want you to, like, explore all of the things, like, it doesn't want you to get to the true ending before you explore all the things that make sense of the true ending. Whereas, like, this game seems like it wants you to experience things in your own order, but then kind of doesn't let you. And like, maybe it's just like a breakdown in my interpretation of what the game seemed to be suggesting in the earlier parts and where we've ended up now. Like, maybe that's simply on me. But, like, more than anything, I just feel like I want, like, a little more agency over the story. Like, I know it's a pre-written story. That's not the thing that bothers me. It's that it feels like the game wants me to think that, like, I can do whatever I want, and I, like, can't really do that at all.
And so, our story ends on this melancholy scene.
And that's the true ending. That's where the path is leading us all along.
In a town brought low by its secrets sits the frozen statues of a misguided band of meddlers.
Maybe at the start you can do almost anything, and then they narrow it down as you go. I mean, I know that you, I think this is your first time watching us? No, you were around last week too, Jakey, right? But you didn't see the very start of the game. There's like, it kind of takes a while for the game to even get to the point where you're offered choices. So I'm not sure I agree with the notion that, like, that it, like, funnels you, which, like, if that was done... I mean, honestly, a game like this ultimately does kind of need to funnel you. If there is, like, one true ending, like, eventually what you describe will come to pass, is that, like, you have lots of choices, and then that narrows, which I think we're roughly at this point where it's, like, narrowing, and then in the end it's probably down to, like, one actual path. And, like, that's fine. It's just that the individual paths aren't super distinct. Like, that's closer to the issue I'm having. Like, I realize that there are distinctions, like, different groups of characters are finding out about the source, and, like, there's slightly different, like, social ramifications, but ultimately the same thing happens every time, and it kind of doesn't matter what we do. And it's also, like, weird for us to be investigating, probably, the nature of the source, and so many different angles, and, like, every time we actually learn what it is, it just ends the same way.
The end. Well, that was dire. On the bright side, we finally figured out where all the ice is coming from.
Finally? We've been aware of this for, like, multiple in-game hours.
Now, we just need to find a way to deal with a mystic, unfathomable force of nature.
Yeah, I guess we hum it, huh? So yeah, just for reference for anyone who did join late, this very first decision, like, the game basically even tells you, like, this doesn't matter. Also, it's only now occurring to me that I kind of thought... I feel like the game implied, and I must have just misinterpreted, but early on I had the impression that, like, each of these charms would be used once, and so one of the things you would need to do is to, like, go back and, like, switch out the charms so that you could use one that's, like, more effective down the road that you had locked into place earlier. But clearly, it's more just about you need to have the charm as like a gating mechanism to make certain choices to advance the story. I don't know. I have thoughts, I'm still struggling to formulate them. That's kind of it. They didn't do a good job of giving the illusion of choice. It's not even so much that I want this game to have a ton more choice to it, necessarily. I'd probably like a little more than what it's given me. But, like, I think you're right in that it's more about the illusion of choice. If it was doing a better job of tricking me, I don't think I'd care so much about this. It's sort of a suspension of disbelief thing. Anyway, let's hum. Let's do the end of Detroit Become Human.
And in the stillness, he began to hum. After the death of his father, Luka had trouble sleeping. Each night, his mother would sit at the foot of his bed and hum a gentle melody.
Oh, I see. I see what's going to happen.
It was the only thing that could calm his mind. The only thing that, however briefly, could make it all seem okay. That melody pervaded every memory Luka had of his mother.
Kind of weird that he would spontaneously do this, not realizing his mother's about to blow up the town or whatever.
Shivering in the raw snow, he began to hum it out loud.
Jason!
Man, chat's on point with the timing on those. I don't know how people are doing it, because I thought we had more lag than usual today, but it's going very well. He activated his auto-tune and began to hum.
Daddy does not approve!
Gran lowered the torch, listening closely.
Did she lower it into the pit, yielding exactly the same result as the other
As
decision?
recognition slowly set in, her heart sank.
Yes, her heart sank, and Date was very displeased. Date, in this case, being Daddy. See, it all works together. Chat is exercising more will over the story than the game even allows. I appreciate
Those
this.
countless nights of consolation, the incomparable loss they shared together. She let the torch fall
She's
to the
even
snow
stronger
and
than
sizzle
my
out.
mom.
Well, see, that one's a little off because I'm pretty sure that this is our mom. Now, Scraw I can abide by. That seems appropriate.
A few steps toward Luka was all she could bear before dropping to the snow herself.
Do you think that, like, a Lovecraftian horror will reach, like, a weird mutated arm or a tentacle or something out and just grab Gran, and that'll be this ending, and it'll at least be different? And a little...
Through a flood of tears, she began to hum along,
Giraffe.
note for note.
Yes.
Oh, darn.
This is why I spend the time adding these things to the stream, for moments like this.
It's somewhat effective!
I mean, it was effective in that it stopped the torch. That applies.
Luka lifted his head in astonishment. The last time he heard that melody was the last night he saw his mother.
How do you know? I'm so sorry, my little buckaroo. Buckaroo? The only people who call me that are my dad and... your mother.
Luka blinked through blurry, watery eyes, trying to see more clearly.
Nani?
He could just make out the impression of a familiar face. He peered across the snowscape at the woman on her knees. Something about her was undeniably his mother, only smaller, older, changed.
Mom? That's right, buckaroo. Mom! Yes,
Luka
we've
sprinted
established
as
that.
fast as he could toward his mother.
Knocking her into the pit and killing both of them instantly.
They held each other close, and the cold retreated from their bodies.
No, that's not true. It's still very cold here. Eleanor? I thought you were gone. You should have known I would never abandon my
Eleanor
son.
looked down at Luka, tightening her embrace in an appeal for forgiveness.
How? You're a smart man, Joseph. I thought you'd have pieced it together by now. You were exposed. Mom, I don't understand any of this. They're adding time travel? No, time travel's been, like, a part of it. I mean, like, what's weird is that, like, going back in time to change decisions in the story is, like, inherently time travel adjacent. But, like, it doesn't seem like they've joined the, like, in-game time elements to the meta time elements. Which seems like maybe a missed opportunity, or maybe we'll only get there at the very end or something, I don't know. But, like, we did already establish, there's, I put it in the tags for the last video because it was insane. It's like, it's like temporine liquium or something. Like, they made up some, like, fake sci-fi element that is, like, what the source is made of, and it, like, it's, for some reason, it runs really cold, and you can, like, neutralize it with a sufficient amount of, like, heat or something. I'm actually really unclear on those parts of the rules because, like, Gran/Mom, like, blows up the hole by throwing a torch and some jam into it. But, like, when Iggy did something really similar by, like, dropping a bunch of fireworks in and lighting them on fire, that, like, didn't cause the Ice Age. Where did you go? Why did you leave me? I never left you. I was always right here, Luka. Do you see where there's only one set of footprints? That was Jesus carrying me, and you were on my shoulders. This metaphor is surprisingly complicated. Why did you lie to me? It tore me up, Luka, but I did it to keep you safe. I thought getting answers would help us both move on. But the more I discovered, the more I realized the danger we were in. Until Perennial Harvest was stopped, it was better if everyone thought I was gone. Nico says, as usual, I'm listening, and I'm certain all of that was actually said. Yes, correct. Why even mention it, Neko? That obviously was true. See, I feel like a big part of the opportunity for me to try and be entertaining and add something to a game like this is to, like, vamp on what the characters are saying, and it works really well when people are only listening and get confused, so I'm glad that occasionally happens. I'm actually curious, a couple people in chat seem like really thrown by this, and I know that not everyone has been, like, following since the very beginning. Is there something that you feel in particular as an inconsistency? Because, like, for all the complaints I have about this game, and they're not, like, huge complaints, to be fair. They're just, I've been struggling to articulate them, which is why I've been focused on them in this stream. But, like, I honestly feel like this game has done quite a good job of, like, foreshadowing and pacing out information that it provides to the player. Like, I've felt pretty consistently good about, like, being able to, like, figure stuff out at, like, the time I'm supposed to, or sometimes in advance, but only because the game provides, like, proper, like, foreshadowing and hints to them. You could have trusted me. These are bad people, Luka. They won't stop until they get what they want. Perennial Harvest wants only one thing, and it's disgusting. They don't care who gets hurt in the process. Then what do we do? We have to stop them.
Joseph slumped into the cold, wet snow.
They can't be stopped. This is too big. I tried beating them at their own game. I'm done fighting fire with fire.
For the first time in a long time, her voice felt like her own again.
No more lies. I see now there's a better way to stop Perennial Harvest. A lawsuit. The cold, hard truth, I mean.
Luka gazed down at Nuncreed with pity. He looked small. Joseph stared into the snow, as if searching it for answers.
Come, everyone. We've got a party to crash. I'm not, like, totally convinced this plan will work. I assume that the notion is that she will go to the speech at the festival and will say a bunch of sci-fi nonsense with limited proof to back it up. And we're hoping that everyone just believes it and that the world is saved, thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. You don't understand. He always wins. That's why they call him
Chapter
House
9.
MD. No, that's a different character.
The devil you know. 7 months ago.
Wow, I have a lot of thoughts after just those 2 sentences. First, she was way too perky about the reading of The Devil You Know. And secondly, just wild to jump back in time in this fashion. Are we going to another time on the tree, like before the first point?
Eleanor VanHorn crept down the maze of sterile hallways under perennial harvest. She stopped in front of the large steel door marked Deep Engineering.
It sounds like a euphemism, but I don't know for what, and it keeps getting people
No
killed.
turning back now. She raised a trembling hand. The stolen keycard worked as promised, and the door buzzed open with mechanical efficiency. She was immediately hit with the smell of disinfectant. It was some sort of laboratory. In one corner was a desk covered in papers. Across the room stood a tall metal pod with hoses protruding from its base. She rushed to the desk and began shifting through the piles of papers.
I like to think that this mysterious machine might have come from Germany,
They were
perhaps.
experiment reports on something called Tempus Liquamen.
There it is. That's the thing. Tempus
There were
Liquamen?
dozens of them. Every one stamped failed. Eleanor heard the sharp echo of footsteps approaching.
I figure at least one of them was probably labeled Big Whoops.
She was out of time. Her eyes scanned the room, eventually landing on the strange pod. Muttering a curse under her breath, she dashed over and dove inside.
And now we're back to the present. And that is what change is all about. Grabbing the future by the scruff of the neck and making things happen. Now, what's interesting about this is that the timing seems off. Like, Gran was ready to throw the torch into the pit, like, already. And we've seen him give this speech in a different branch of the story, wherein, like, the town doesn't freeze over until, like, after he's pretty much done the speech. Like, we definitely heard this part of the speech, and there's more to it. So, like, we shouldn't have been able to make it here before the speech ended, because we've already seen that the speech ends at the same time that Gran throws the thing in the thing. I am tickled pink that we will all be making that choice together. How great is that? This man is a liar. He sits on a throne of lies. Excuse me. I will not. This town is a dangerous secret, and perennial harvest only exists to keep it hidden. Nonsense. They picked up the whole darn town and moved it right under our noses. You aren't making any sense, dear.
Mr. Kerr addressed the crowd with a sarcastic tone.
Imagine such a thing. It's absurd and just plain impossible. They promised they could fix the foul harvest. They told us they would clean this place up. We just had to leave town for a few days. But while they had us evacuated... Mrs. Hartford, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to... You're not afraid of a lot of things. Oh, you are afraid of a lot of things, aren't you? Sniveling little worm. This is growing tiresome. A little help, please. Don't you all see? This festival is a sham. An excuse to have the whole town gather in one place. They're planning something awful. Nah, something awful's been around for a while, my friend. Actually, it might have shut down by now. I don't know. I don't know what, but these people are wicked. Don't listen to her. If anything, we're wicked awesome. Aren't I hip with the lingo, kids? And besides the point, this lady has absolutely no proof. Riplo tax, he died as he lived. I do feel like I heard about his passing. What happened? What was the story, Castleard? I am the proof. I'm Eleanor VanHorn.
Whispers filtered through the crowd.
Rhubarb, 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 peas and carrots, rhubarb. Well, aren't you just as sneaky as the Dickens? We all knew Valentine's fertilizer was too good to be true. Now this whole town is paying the price. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry about this disruption. My associates will take this obviously disturbed woman somewhere comfortable. Oh, geez, suicide after he was forced to pay child support. Yeah, no, that does sound like he died as he lived, to be honest. Regrettable, though. That's not a great circumstance for basically anyone involved there. So, she can get the help she needs. She's not the one who's disturbed. You two-timing clown. You all know there's something wrong with this town. It was just easier to look the other way. The truth is... that's quite enough, Mr. Nuncreed.
Torment dragged on Joseph Nuncreed's face.
That seems like a weird description. You see Waldo. I don't, but I trust you. Yes, sir. Take them away. No, I want them to see this. Ah, the ever-tempestuous Eleanor VanHorn. You've been quite the thorn in my side. Like a weed that's burrowed in where it doesn't belong. I must confess, you look dreadful.
He paused for a moment, plucking a piece of fuzz from his sweater and discarding it to the ground.
Consider yourself in rare company. You've managed to pull one over on me. It won't happen again. I knew you had some sort of plan to disrupt our little party. But alas, I suspected something a bit more impressive than incoherent rambling. No matter, your failures are yours to bear. Mr. Kerr? Yes, sir? It's a shame it was cut short, but I thank you for that rousing oratory. I will take it from here. Yes, sir, of course, sir. You have done some quality work for me, William. You can look forward to the recompense we agreed upon. One shiny silver dollar.
Kerr gave a bow of deference.
Founder, you are most gracious.
Gasps rippled through the crowd.
I don't know if he was supposed to say that. Thankfully, we can dispense with the formalities from here on out.
Solomon pulled a glass vial from his pocket. In one smooth motion, he downed
Wait,
its
for real?
contents.
Wait, he just has like a become adult potion?
A triumphant smile grew across Solomon's lips.
You can all call me Sharper Valentine.
His body and face began to contort and expand as he disappeared into a belching green mist. A hushed horror gripped the crowd.
I don't feel like this is the way to do this. I don't mean from the narrative perspective. I just mean this... I get that Sharper Valentine feels like he is so incredibly in control of this situation after seeing how pathetic Grant's plan was. That, like, he can like, literally just drink this Jekyll and Hyde potion in broad daylight in front of the entire town and suffer no repercussions. But, like, it just feels to me like it makes more sense to be, like, the next day, just, like, show up as Sharper Valentine and be like, oh, like, yeah, totally. Like, I guess I'm back from the dead or whatever. Woo! Like, I mean, if people are already gonna be, like, rumbling about, like, sci-fi happenings, just feels like an easier way to go about it than, like, actually making people watch you do, like, a monstrous transformation. I feel like that's just gonna make people inherently suspicious of you, and I feel like you must need the town to some extent Or, like, why do this way?
This is a story about change.
It's weird. It took a really long time for it to register that. What? No. Ah. So you didn't see that coming. Good.
Sharper examined his new hands.
Look at these new hands. They can touch everything except each other. No, wait. This is quite the improvement. Everything looks so much smaller now. Eleanor was right about one thing. This festival was a ruse. I wanted you all to witness my glorious return with your own eyes. Why does everyone look so downtrodden? Isn't it enough that I killed a monkey trying to make you happy, or whatever the lyric is? This is a celebration, people. Maybe it would help if we set the mood. Mr. Kerr, be a dear and reveal the sign. It's the Sharper Valentine Festival? Ah, wonderful.
Sharper choked out a crude squawk of a laugh. Frustrated grumbles sprinkled through the crowd.
Sharper, you stupid cur. Oh, cool, I got the Malice badge. Can we be Malice Cop? I sure hope we can be Malice Cop. Although that might just be like regular cop. Great minds, Neko. I'm glad you're back so I can tell you to your face. You destroyed this town. We ain't gonna let you get away with it again. Sorry, this is not the time for audience participation. Some assistance, Mr.
William Kerr
Kerr.
gave a subtle nod to the clipboards.
You coward! Does anyone else have something to
A
contribute?
helpless quiet settled over the crowd.
Thought so. Did you all truly believe you could be free of me? A town of complete and utter fools. You people should be celebrating my return. You're clearly lost without me. And that leads me nicely to my children. Daddy! I gave you both the greatest gift a parent can give. The opportunity to prove yourselves in my absence. Squandered! To say I am disappointed would be an understatement. Would I? Silence, Augustus. An adult is speaking. I don't know which is worse, a son who is completely hopeless, or a daughter with such potential who inevitably lets me down. Parents, you fail me with admirable consistency. Thankfully, I was counting on it this time. Father, I have been wasting time, my dear. What have you accomplished? I was focused on cementing our legacy. Legacy? Who needs a legacy when you can just live forever? But what about... It's all right, kiddo. I'm afraid you suffer from a complete lack of imagination. There's just no helping it. Now then, where's Joseph? You didn't take the opportunity to slip off, did you? Ah, there he is. Everyone should give him a hand. None of this would have been possible without Joseph. I think you've said enough. Nonsense. The people deserve to know how helpful and loyal you've been. I only did what I did because he left me no choice. You always had a choice, Joseph. You are simply too weak to take it. No matter. Cheer up. You're about to be rich beyond your wildest dreams. You should follow Mr. Kerr's example. When I found him, he was in a sorrier state than any of you. An aging actor desperate to recapture his youth. He played his part, and soon he'll be able to play the leading man again. Forever, in fact, if he remains loyal. That goes for all of you. Well, those who haven't already frittered away my goodwill. Beacon Pines is mine again, and I am willing to share its spoils in exchange for absolute loyalty. Are you saying William Kerr was never in charge of Perennial Harvest? Ha! You think that puffed up blatherskite could have accomplished any of this? Hot dang. I've literally never in my life heard someone say blatherskite in any context other than turning into Gizmo Duck. Dawn, I suppose it's time for your big
Sharper
exclusive.
addressed the crowd with indignant pride. He'd planned this moment for so long that now, at the deed's fruition, it almost felt frivolous.
You see, I needed a figurehead to hold things down while I orchestrated my return. Someone to misdirect, lie, and bilk this town for a spell. So I invented William Kerr. Take your bow, you've
Mr.
earned
Kerr
it.
flourished a preposterously elaborate bow.
I like to imagine the Edgeworth bow from Ace Attorney. It's not a real word. No, it's definitely a real word. How else do you turn into Gizmo Duck, Jakey? Literal bow. What a clown. Patrick C. Montesquieu, thespian extraordinaire, at your service. Founder, I just want to thank you again for this opportunity. It truly was the role of a lifetime. Wait, I'm still here. So this Bill Kerr was a Pat C the whole time? Whatever happens in the end of this game, Rolo, I hope you end up in prison. Now that your secret's out in the open, what's to stop this town from rising up against you? More or less what Neko just said. He's telling the whole town his evil schemes and being as evil as possible. Oh, that's the delicious part. Fear. Thanks to our clipboards, I know what each and every person in this town fears most. This is like literally a plot point from a thing that I've written. More or less. And I will make those fears manifest for anyone who steps out of line. The choice is simple. I'm not afraid of you. The young hero. I've kept a keen eye on you, boy. You and your friends made a habit of disrupting my plans. What a pity. If things had gone a bit differently, you might have had your moment of triumph. But that's fate for you. You can't do this. Oh, but I can. I have won. Never underestimate what a great man can do, given time. And now time is my plaything. Perhaps the most expensive thing I've ever bought. But well worth it.
Sharper coughed up one final laugh and cracked his knuckles.
Enough chit-chat. Let's get to work, shall we?
And so, Sharper set about remaking the town in his own image.
It's like Hill
The
Valley.
fertilizer factory soon reopened for business. Sales rose steadily as more and more farmers across the countryside began to swear by its miraculous properties. Beacon Pines became famous. A secretive town that, for the right price, shared its gifts with all. Gifts that became more and more necessary in a world where winters grew longer and longer.
Alright, this genuinely annoys me. More so than the other stuff from before. This doesn't really make sense. Because if it's so trivially easy to get the town back on board, like, why did he need to, like, hide in plain sight? Or, like, wait for so long? Like, it seems like... I mean, I guess the game wants me to think that Sharper Valentine needed to have the clipboards do research up until, like, the point of this festival, or whatever. I want to suspend my disbelief for that, but, like, something about the fact that, like, he could just have transformed back into an adult at any time, and, like, that was, like, there was no difficulty to that, like, bothers me. Like, at least if he had to wait until, like, that could turn him back into an adult or something, then, like, maybe I could get behind. Like, it just something feels stupid. I presumed he accidentally turned himself into a child. Yeah, I mean, that would have made sense. And, like, even if the game wants us to think that, just the fact that he, like, literally had, like, some ecto-cooler and then, like, turned into the villain... it's, like, difficult to, like, reconcile.
The end. This is wrong, but things are becoming clearer now. You can feel it, right? We can't let Sharper win. He might just be the key to this whole thing. Let's see.
So where does Malice go? I honestly thought it might be here with Rollo's sister. You have to treat her with malice. That's peculiar. Because, like, this branch is like... Rollo goes missing because you go to the warehouse together, and then he leaves first and gets kidnapped and trapped in the underground base or whatever. And then some stuff happens, and then, like, the next day, his sister comes and talks to Luka and says, like, you have to be honest with me about whatever you were doing yesterday because he never came home and I'm worried about him. And so you, like, tell her the truth, and then, like, you encounter Nuncreed, and then, like, for some reason, like, the game forces you to, like, tell him the truth, and then he, like, kills you or whatever. But no, like, the thing is, it's not be malicious to Nuncreed. If I remember the prompt correctly, it's like, you tell him the truth, and then there's an expression of blank in his eyes or something. Luka peered up at Mr. Nuncreed. Kind eyes warmed a stern face. There was a deeper emotion hiding beneath it all. It was subtle, but Luka could sense something eating away at him. There was a blank lurking behind those eyes. And somehow malice doesn't immediately get us dead?
There was a malice lurking behind those eyes, like a trap ready to spring. Luka felt the weight of Nuncreed's hand on his shoulder. Something wasn't right. He didn't know why, but something was telling Luka to get out of there.
I just want this all to be over. Of course, I'm sure it'll all work out soon enough. I should get going. I told Roxy I'd check for Rollo at the treehouse.
Luka twisted free of Nuncreed's grasp.
Of course. Luka, you know your dad and I were good friends back in the day. You can come to me with anything. Anything at all. Okay, I hate you. Bye-bye. So I guess the game wants me to go to the treehouse, but there is something important I want to check now that we've time traveled. Did it? Okay. Yeah, okay. I don't know why the game's... I don't know why there's a sign that says no touching. Should I talk to him? The festival decorations are a bit humdrum. Now, if I were to throw a festival, it would be a thing to behold. I agree. This is all more than a little sad. It's worse than sad. It's boring. What if we did a little something to spice things up? I'm listening. You know the festival sign waiting to be unveiled. It would be a shame if someone...
off, eagerly formulating a plan.
This is the content you stay up until 4:30 in the morning for. Slapping giant melons. It's good content. It's the best I can do. It's literally the best I'm capable of. Identify yourself, please. Wait, who was talking? Wasn't it Nelly? Also, I struggle I managed to settle on a voice for Beck's other mom, whose name I don't remember. But Nelly I struggled more with. She's clearly Velma Mouse. I sorted that out. Nellie Moldwell. I work here now. Oh, it's like the intercom is talking. Of course, the speech bubble's like white on eggshells, so please pardon me for not catching that. I thought the speech bubble was her because there was literally no other person there. I am unable to locate you on our staff roll. Oh, I don't officially start until tomorrow. Mr. Kerr said I could come in early tonight to get a few things done. Hold, please. Clearance authorized. Thank you. Our harvest awaits. That was weird. Wow. You could get a wrench to the noggin sneaking up on a guy like that. Don't scare a man while he's junking, sonny. I won't. Evening, Jeff. Isn't it kind of late to be junking? Well, the problem is that junking makes me feel good. I might as well ask the same of you. Find anything good? Ever since Perennial Harvest moved in, even the junk is trash. You can learn a lot about a person by looking at what they throw away. With this bunch, it's all shredded paper and coffee cups. Well, I've stopped caring. Goodbye. I didn't see nothing if you didn't see nothing. See what? Exactly. Like, we still haven't solved the mystery of why, like, the wildlife is bugging off, as it were. Do you think malice is a lure that I can use at the fishing hole?
Luka,
Evidently not.
first.
I feel like there's one more. I'm gonna keep trying. Rollo. Marco Rollo.
He aired a long holler into the woods.
Rollo! And then the Millennium Puzzle activates, and he... Never mind. Rollo, wherever you are, I hope you're
Luka
okay.
felt his eyes getting heavy and plopped into the beanbag.
Uh-oh, did he have the sedative jam?
He conceded to its lumpy embrace.
Lumpy embrace.
Once again, Luka found himself in a vast black expanse.
Have we actually had one of these dream sequences on this specific branch of the story? I'm not clear on that.
This time, he knew exactly where to go. He took a single confident step forward. The world flickered and pulsed. He found himself standing in front of the frigid air of a blazing campfire. The source. He plopped down cross-legged and gazed into the cold flame, waiting.
It's weird for the narrator to break the linearity of the story in so much as it's presented by directly referencing the source, which you have to know about as a player to get to this point because you don't have access to the Malice badge until you get, like, pretty far down that path. But, like, it's still pretty... Because, like, this doesn't seem to be the type of game where, like, you retain knowledge on time loops because you're, like, actually changing history. So, like, it's a weird approach.
Soon enough, the fire began to die out, popping sporadically, until all that was left was a single ember. Luka stood up and dusted himself off. He plucked the glowing ember from the cold ash, examined it, and slid it into his pocket, a keepsake.
Picked it up and put it in his purse.
The voice of his father spoke behind him.
There's a time and place for everything.
You made me proud, Buckaroo. Luka turned to face him. Dad, what is this place? A warm grin grew across his father's face. A place where everything that has been and everything that could be all wait together. Luka found himself staring at his father's face, trying as hard as he could to memorize every single detail. Wait? For what?
I assume a train.
Another voice spoke out as Luka's doppelganger stepped forward.
By the way, Devilish, I missed your comment. 3-hour stream when? I don't understand that question. Most streams are at least 3 hours. Most of the ones I do, anyway.
That's up to you. Without knowing why, Luka began to weep.
3 hours of just slapping mountain. We could do that. That could be some sort of community goal. I don't know who that's for, but like we could do a solid 3 hours. I mean, we could like chat or whatever. Just make a GIF. Nah, that's quitter talk, Neko. If we would do it like a 3-hour melon slapping stream, we would do it like the hard way. Charity event. Yeah, it could be. I assume for breast cancer awareness. Just, you know, I've just selected a random cause off the top of my head, unrelated.
Is any of this real? Are you real?
Nah, Buckaroo. I'm a figment of your imagination.
Luca's father bent down to smudge away a tear. Of course, I'm as real as the part of you that misses me. Luca turned to look at the older version of himself. And you? The doppelganger choked back tears. I'm as real as the part of you that's angry he's gone. Does that make sense? Through his tears, Luca laughed.
I really do, like, the more of these we do, the more it bothers me. Like, even just, like, a static image, like, created as, like, a general representation of each of these dream sequences would really be enough to, like, placate me. But, like, something about it just being pitch black, like, bugs me.
I think so. His father pulled him in for an embrace. Time to go, buckaroo. Luca was startled from his dream by a banging on the floor.
Wasn't me. I don't know who this is. Are you in there?
A commanding voice rumbled from below. Just as Luca sprang to lock the entry hatch, the door knocked open. Chapter 5.
Chapter 5? Good grief.
Dangers big and small. Luca stumbled back. He heard the rope ladder creak under significant weight. Keeping his eyes fixed on the hatch, he inched backward to the balcony. As his hand grasped the door handle, Luca froze. A large figure clumsily wriggled up through the hole.
Did it skip, like, a dialogue box? Like, something weird happened there. Stop right there! Or I'll... Oh, my God. It's Rollo's dad, isn't it? Hey, what's Rollo's dad sound like? Don't pick a hard thing or I'll ignore you. Like, pick a real thing. Not for my mom will shoot. This is Rollo. It might be Rollo, based on his line, huh? British. I mean, like, I feel like all of the villains in this town are British, though. But how would Rollo have big clothes that fit him? Is that just a property of the science goop? They're like Hulk shorts? Rollo is the villain for existing. True. Cage. Okay. Let's, alright, let's take this approach. If we assume that this is either Rollo's dad who's come looking for Rollo because Rollo is missing, or that this is grown-up Rollo from goo reasons, we can extrapolate to what Rollo would sound like as an adult. I feel like that applies equally either way, right? Of course, the regular Rollo voice is just me struggling not to be doing Luca's voice for some reason by pitching high. Okay. Somehow Chad has managed to reach rough consensus of British gentlemen. We've been circling the drain on something. I'll give you that. We can make him sound different from Luca by making him British, and make him sound different from the other characters by making him sound nice, but he also is still bad. It's like one of those, like, it's like a character quirk, right? Like, he's bad, but he sounds really nice. And that sounds something like, "Sheesh, I know it's dark and all, but I figured you'd recognize me." That's Australian. That's what that is Australian. How is it that, like, when I actively try to do a British voice, it somehow comes out Australian, but, like, if I don't think about it, I can do like a narrow array of, like, actual kind of British accents? Like, what is that? What like, I just want to understand that about myself, because I, like, cannot on command do an Australian accent. But, like, if I think about trying to do a British accent, it becomes Australian. I don't know what that is.
The large figure cocked its head inquisitively.
Those music cues are fairly obnoxious. Stop now or I'll clobber you with a baseball bat. Whoa. Take it easy. Luca, you need to get your eyes checked. It's me, Rollo. Nice try, but I know you aren't Rollo. You're like one of his random uncles or something. You all basically look the same anyway. That's an interesting theory, Neko. I did watch House. Maybe it's because they have a British Australian, and maybe there's some part of my brain that, like, accesses that. What's weird about that, though, is that I did spend, like, 2 or 3 years, like, with my direct boss as, like, an Australian man. And his Australian girlfriend would also, like, somewhat frequently, like, drop by the office. So, like, I've spent some, like, real life time talking to, like, Australian people. And you'd think that naturally I would draw from that, but, here we are with this accent. Don't worry about it. Where's Rollo? Uncle. Luka, quit messing around. It's me. If it really is you, prove it. Flaming chicken coop,
Luka's
Luka.
jaw dropped. He peered more closely at the man standing in front of him. Something about him was undeniably Rollo, only bigger, changed.
How? What happened to you? When I was running away, ran into more people in those yellow suits. They grabbed me and dragged me away. What? Where did they take you? Dunno. Threw a bag over my head. It's cold and smelled like a swimming pool. Think it was an underground lab or something. Made my hands look all big. Look!
Rollo proudly presented his hands to Luka.
God, Rollo's just the worst. He's just the worst. Pretty sweet, right? I mean, it wouldn't be my first pick for a superpower, but beggars can't be choosers. Rollo, it wasn't just your hands. You're like 8 feet tall. Dude, like, you can see your like, if you look directly ahead, you're no longer looking at your best friend's face. It's not rocket science. My feet too? Dang, Paul just made me new shoes. Wait, Luka, why are you so
Luka
small?
moved to the side and pointed Rollo to his reflection in the balcony window. His
Nani?
hands shot up to his face.
Holy Toledo. Rollo, what did they do to you? They made me drink some sort of green crud. Ew. I think it was actually just Gatorade. Tasted like licorice. I passed out and woke up like this. Then I sorta smashed open my cage and escaped. Whoa, you smashed open a cage? Kinda. At least I think I did. It's all a bit of a blur. They had you in a cage? Who are these people? I don't know who did this to you, but we're gonna fix it. Fix it? This is awesome. Well, I'm just glad you're safe now, I guess. Luka, you don't need to worry about me. Sure, I got snatched, but look at it this way. I got snatched. I know where snatched people go. You may finally have a lead on what happened to your family. Maybe you're right, but this all seems dangerous. Danger? Huh.
Rollo shadowboxed a few jabs.
I'll take them all on. Why does Beck suddenly have a hat? She doesn't normally have a hat, does she? I feel like she doesn't normally have a hat. Hey, fellas, what's
With
up?
a yelp, Rollo dove behind Luka.
Ah, take cover! Did I come at a bad time? Who the heck are you? This is Beck. Sorry, something truly bizarre just happened and I need help. I didn't know where else to go. So you're just hanging out here with your large adult friend? Beck is definitely the best character in this game. Dawn ranks highly. I honestly like Luka pretty well. I don't always necessarily like the protagonist, because sometimes they're kind of underwritten as the main character. But, like, Beck is definitely the best character. She got the gloop in her hair. Oh, that's right. This would be the timeline where she got stuff in her hair. It didn't, like, age her hair, though. Not the same way it, like, aged other people. For her, it kind of just changed color, which might be, like, a symptom of aging, but is, like, less obvious. So, like, it contributed to, like, not understanding that element of the story or whatever. No, this is my buddy Rollo. This is your missing friend? One and the same. He seems a little old. I'll have you know this is a recent development. What the heck does that mean? Well, I'm sorry, you're the one who just showed up out of nowhere. So we'll be asking the questions here. That's fair. How did you find us? Your silly little treehouse? I think you mean our silly little mission control. I hate to break it to you, but your secret path isn't so secret. And I could hear your racket from a mile away. See, Luka, this is why we need to improve security around here. Not now, Rolo. Like you said something bizarre happened. Yeah,
She shot a nervous glance at Rolo.
Anything you can say around me, you can say to adult Rolo. This has been a weird day all around, hasn't it?
Beck's eyes narrowed.
Okay, so it all started when I made it back home. My first order of business was to try and salvage my hair. So I dyed it with some stuff from the chemistry set my mom gave me. Oh, that seems good and safe and fine and normal. Fine. Okay. Just need to play it cool. And hope no one notices. Notices what? Nothing. I was just... come over here and let me have a look. Oh, honey, what in the world did you do to your hair? I just kinda felt like a change.
I don't need a map to get to Bonetown.
This is gonna take forever to grow out. You were the one who said change was a good thing, right? That this was a story about change or whatever? I was talking about your mother's new job. I was talking about us moving. Well, I guess I just took your lesson to heart.
tried to put on a smile.
Before I forget, I came up here to tell you that Nellie had to go into work. Tonight. Her and Mr. Kerr decided it would be good for her to get some things done before tomorrow. That Kerr guy seems like a grade A creep. Beck. He is, him and his weird cult of personality. You are not going to ruin this job for Nellie. It means too much to her. Oh, I know exactly how much it means to her. It means enough for her to exile her daughter to this podunk town. This place sucks. People are weird. You just don't know them yet. It's always cold. Here in the mountains, you'll get used to it. I can't even pick up a single decent station on the radio. It's all banjo music and farm reports. You know, I grew up in a town that's not much different from this one. It's why you're better at talking to plants than people. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. First of all, you're grounded. Nani. In the morning, I'll have Nellie come and see what we can do about fixing your hair. We need you to look presentable for the festival. Festiventable.
She
Not
sighed,
another peep.
and after a moment, looked down at Beck sympathetically.
I know moving is hard, honey, but that doesn't mean you have to make yourself miserable all the time. Other people seem to have that covered for me. Oh, and if you decide to rebel by dyeing your hair more...
She flashed a sly grin and tousled Beck's hair.
I'll just shave it off for you. Think of how rebellious you'll look then. Very funny. Thank you. Good night, sweetie. Good night, Mom. What animal are they? Cat. Cat. I think they're cats. I don't know what type of cat. I mean, Beck very much looks like some housebred type of cat. It's like really particular ears that someone could probably identify. I guess her one mom is like the one who wasn't there, Nellie, I guess? Nellie, I think? She does look a little more rodent-y, so she could be some sort of thing, maybe? I kind of just assumed the other one from that conversation, Alana, was Cat. I don't know why I assumed that. Two moms? Yes! Love to see representation in game. Wait. First of all, this town does not suck. Second, you need help because you got grounded. Now it's more British again. It always happens. I'm not very good at Australian. We're here now. No. I'm sorry you got in trouble. It's my fault your hair got screwed up in the first place. Don't worry about it. I actually kind of like this look. Right, can we get back to the story now? This next part is the important bit. You just say crikey a lot. I think someone might get mad. Not someone who's actually watching, but someone will just, like, innately get mad that someone's doing that. I have this radio upgraded with my mom. Oh, I have this radio I upgraded with my mom, and I was too angry to sleep. So I tried to dial into something worth listening to. Where's the banjo music in the farm report? Mr. Kerr, are you there? Mr. Kerr? Yes, I'm busy. What is it? I don't know who this other person is. It's probably a clipboard. It's probably a clipboard and not non-created. Apologies, I have the founder on the line. Patch him through immediately. One moment. Hello, sir. It's so nice to hear from you. Skip the pleasantries. What's your report on our lead researcher of deep engineering? Nellie Modewell seems to be integrating nicely. At this very moment, she's working to help us meet our deadline. She offered to work overtime before I even had a chance to suggest it. Excellent. And you have faith she's capable of finishing the work left by her predecessor? Her work must be complete before the festival. Okay, so there is some sort of work that needs to be done, okay? I don't know what it is. Is it that Beck's mom figured out the de-aging jar? You looked it up. Beck's mom from the most recent conversation was a ferret. And the other one with the glasses is a gerbil. Good read, I guess. I will make sure she stays day and night until it's accomplished. Good. You know how I feel about loose ends. Yes, sir. Once she has finished the work, we need to make a determination regarding her long-term prospects in our company. Immediately, sir? You usually have more time to fully bring people into the fold. We are in the end game, Bill. After your failures with Dr. Prescott, I can't afford to take any risks. Of course, sir. No loose ends, sir. Once she finishes the work, she will either leave the office completely committed to perennial harvest, or she won't leave at all. Perfect. So if I might suggest, maybe we should delay just for a bit. Oh. It's just we seem to be rushing to hit this festival deadline, and rushing into things has caused some issues in the past. I see. Please understand I just want what's best for you. I'm eternally grateful for all that you've done for me. Bill, I'll make this very clear for you. I brought you in to make things run smoothly, not to have opinions. Of course, sir. Chin up, Bill. You're only a few days away from having everything you ever dreamed of. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Whoa. Yeah. Just so we're clear, when they said loose ends, they were talking about murder, right? Like actually killing someone? Capital
Luka
murder?
gave Rollo a quick elbow to the ribs.
Who is this founder? I was hoping you guys would know. I literally just moved to town like yesterday. Nah, as far as we know, Kerr's top banana for annual harvest. He sounded scared of this founder guy. Said we have an even topper banana on the field. What is my mom caught up in? She talked about the job much? Really? She said she was gonna come in and continue the work of someone she respected. Luka, do you think that body at the warehouse was... the person Beck's mom came to replace? That would make sense. It seems like Nellie's predecessor got, loose-ended. I'm getting that impression. Okay, so we need your mom out of here before the festival happens. It's 2 days away. Won't you just come home after work? The creep on the radio said they're gonna hold on to her, to hold her there until then. So if she's not coming out, we gotta
Beck
go in and
flicked
get
a
her.
large sheet of paper out of her pocket and slammed it on the floor.
So she's adopted? I don't remember how specific they've gotten on the details, but I think that's correct. Maybe this'll help. You have blueprints? Well, it's really just a welcome map from my mom's PH orientation day. But it shows the layout. Sarah says, I don't know how to break this to you, but two moms. In fairness, Sarah, there are definitely recorded instances of, like, a person, like a woman being in a relationship with a man and then, you know, then getting married to a woman later on, and maybe there was a kid from a prior marriage. Like, something like that can happen. I don't think they've made any inference along those lines, but, like, it's not, like, a ridiculous question. Sure looks like blueprints to me. Look, here's the reception area. There's a big room marked Founder's Office. Even has the exits marked. Guys. We have a deadline and an objective. We have blueprints. You realize what this is, right?
Wiggle with excitement.
And he took the whole treehouse down with him. I think we're heisting. This is officially a heist.
Chapter 6. The Heist. They spent the night's end huddled around that small map, formulating a plan to infiltrate the headquarters of Perennial Harvest. It would be no small feat, a modern facility equipped with all manner of technology.
It says, in this world it's possible that different species could have children together, so if the father was a cat, then one of her mothers could have been biological. Yeah, like, maybe. Look, there's a lot of specifics we haven't gone into about the nature of this animal-filled world. Well, I think some logical conclusions have been drawn. I just don't want anyone to feel bad about asking what seems like a pretty reasonable question. That's all. I'm not saying that there weren't reasons to suspect one way or the other, but, like, you know, just be cool. It's not a ridiculous question. Now we're in a caper movie. You better believe it. And that's not going to change the quality of this Australian accent even a little.
Not to mention the swarm of clipboards that would most certainly be scattered throughout.
I sure hope that I don't have to do a stealth
By the
set.
time the sun began to peek through the car window used as a makeshift balcony door, all were in agreement.
Is this a Somnium Files puzzle? Do you mean, are we going to have to, like, figure out, like, music note code without any hints, and then the game will tell us expressly how to do it instead of actually just giving us, like, a proper frame of reference for solving the puzzle? If so, I hope not.
This could just work. The final day before the festival would be used to prepare. They'd need to pool every resource at their disposal, pull every favor with a thread.
You know what would help this game? Like, it's not like make or break. It's not like it's terrible without it and, like, would suddenly make a lot of sense if it had it. But I feel like I get why we have the chapter system, but, like, it's just so amorphous. Like, it's kind of hard to tell exactly how much time is passing. I think there's meant to be, like, roughly a 1-to-1 correlation of chapters and days, but, like, it just feels a little messy. I feel like it would help to just know what the timeline was. Anytime you're, like, jumping back and forth in time, it's, like, really helpful to just have, like, a basic frame of reference. You know, sometimes you'll have a movie where it's, like, you know, you're talking about, like, a period of, like, 15 years ago and now, and, like, the 15 years ago, like, the character had, like, super long hair, and now they have, like, a really, like, neatly kept, like, professional haircut or something. And, like, even just stuff like that is like, okay, like, now I have, like, a frame of, like, where we're at in time. For this, it'd be, like, helpful to know, like, because we're, like, the day before the festival would be used to prepare. Is that now? Or is that the future? Are we preparing to prepare? Or is this the thing we're doing now?
Even enlist some unsavory characters around town with important tasks only they were suited for.
So, like, I'm trying to think of any character whose name rhymes with a number to do like an Ocean's 11 thing. I guess it doesn't need to. I also don't know how many people are involved.
Luckily,
This
there was
won't work.
enough ill will and mistrust toward Perennial Harvest that alliances could be found at a bargain. Luka, Beck, and Rollo rubbed their eyes as they exited the treehouse. They hadn't slept at all that night. There was no time. The festival was to begin in 1 day, and they each had their assignments.
I feel like Rollo's gonna have like a hard time getting around and not being noticed. Also, I feel like there's some insinuation that this is like the one true path of the story, and it feels insane that this would be the path where like Rollo is an adult now. It says they finally revealed the evolutions for Sprigatito. Is that how you pronounce that? It's one of those things I've only seen read and never tried to pronounce out loud. The new cat Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet. Did they do all the starters? I thought I read something about them revealing... What's his face? Friend Gator. I want to see that one. Two questions. A, is it also a fighting cat? And B, do you approve of whatever the thing is? Alright, quick recap. Rollo, you're gonna talk to Roxy. Cordially. Without her and Fitz, this whole thing could go bust. Alright, we've barely established that Fitz exists as a character. It bothers me some amount that they're gonna be integral to this heist plan. Me? Cordial's my middle name. And how do you plan to explain your new...
vaguely at Rollo's sizable figure.
I showed spray images for Quaxley line, final form for crocodile, and mid-end final for cat. Interesting. New grass cat is supposed to be a magic cat? That sounds fun. Is it a fighting magic cat? Circumstance. Oh, she'll be happy all my life. She won't even notice.
An involuntary giggle.
And Beck, you're sure Ilona won't just shoot this whole thing down when she hears it? She'll listen. Once she understands the danger Nellie is in, the danger we're all in, the plan will make sense. Okay. That leaves me with Jeff, then Iggy. Jeff, huh? Ras Dark. Okay. That sort of makes sense. How are you gonna persuade them? I'll think of something.
They each looked at each other with sleepy confidence and nodded.
It's a very common emotion that we're all familiar with exactly what it looks like. Well, Godspeed. Final form is called Meowscarada. Well, that's not what I would expect that to look like. One of these days I have to set up like a scene for like bringing up an image online without breaking the computer. Well, not the computer so much as the stream. Bring this up for good measure. And then this. And this. I do want to see few Coco. That's disappointing. That's okay. That might as well happen, I guess. And Quaxley while we're here. Okay, that looks weird. Hang on, let me... Yeah, that looks weird. Not so much into that. Next line is supposed to be dancer related. Iggy and Tish. See, I feel like we buried the lead. Like, I definitely feel like the plan will succeed if we have Tish involved. Still pretty sure I don't have anything I can use to fish with. Even though I feel very confident about this, I'm still going to check because I really want to make sure that I get all the fishing done. This is important to me for some reason. Alright, so the only place I've ever seen Jeff is like rummaging around in trash. So, where do I think I'm gonna find him? Actually, I don't really know a particular place to find either of these groups of people. But what I do know for absolute certain... Yeah, I've kind of deliberately avoided looking at, like, the fan-made final forms. Just didn't want to, like, set any expectation before seeing them, because, yeah, I imagine that, imagine seeing Final Gator after looking at something that a fan design that was pretty sweet would be disappointing. This is the best part of my week. Do we need, like a 10-minute sound clip of, melon slapping? Is there a stream tomorrow? Yeah, we'll be streaming tomorrow. I think it'll be Lamplight City. I think my goal is, to, like, finish the games that we started this year. Because they're both ones that I want to finish, and it'll be harder to come back to them. So, like, I think I want to do Lamplight City first, just so I'm not doing 2 voice acting games, and then go, when we finish Beacon Pines, go back to, Murder by Numbers. I think that's the plan in the short term. I don't know. Is that thing just gonna explode? Hopefully never. I mean, I assume that it's the perfect melon, and as a result, like, you may slap as much as you like. You want the 999 computer typing, not the walking. You want the typing. That's just wild to me. Okay, so, like, now I have an important question for you, the people of chat. It's like, we're at, like, the normal stream end mark. How much game is left? I started this stream being uncertain of how much game is left, and in this moment, I'm quite uncertain as to how much game is left. That one, this... I really didn't notice how much this branch... I mean, we have to at least, like, I don't know... I think this might be a dead end. And then, like, we just have to ride this train? We can ride it? What I don't understand is, like, am I better off ending it here and then trying to go for another 3 hours, or, like, try and push for another hour? Well, I mean, here's the problem. I don't think that, like, the next... Like, imagine it this way. Like, I don't think that the tree that represents the story on this page is gonna, like, shoot to the very top margin or anything. But, like, it also feels largely like the far left and right branches, they feel done now. I feel like both of those are done. I mean, this was pretty conclusive, I think. And then, like, arguably, you could do more from this, but only in a way that I don't think that this game is going to do. So the problem is this, or the question is this, is, like, if I go for another hour, and then there's, like, 1 hour left, then, like, I have to do the thing that, like, most sucks of all, which is, like, do an hour of a game and then change games midstream, which is, like, the absolute worst thing you can do if you don't want to suffer. Like, even stuff that doesn't normally cause problems on stream, like, causes disastrous problems when you try to do that. Like, it shouldn't necessarily do that, but, like, literally every time I've tried to do that, with, like, only the narrowest of exceptions of, like, really, like, computer light games that, like, are well tested and utilized quite a lot in the past, have I avoided that circumstance. So, like, the question is, like, do I think that there's, like, 3 hours left? In which case, like, I definitely don't want to keep going. Do I think there's 1 hour left? No. I don't feel like that's probably true. I feel like, at minimum... Well, let's think of it this way. We are on chapter 6? We've gotten as far as chapter 9. It's possible that we need to go to, like, 10 on this branch. I doubt that, like, we would finish... Like, I don't think we're finishing the game in an hour. I don't think that's even a little bit true. Like, I don't understand this, because, like, the stuff I looked at online sort of suggested that this game was, like, 5 to 8 hours, and we're at, like, 10? We're in The Devil You Know? No, we're in... I think it's called Heist? Devil You Know is, like, the furthest one we've been in along the story path. But the chapter names change depending on what branch you're on, which is kind of a huge hassle. Understanding the tree, there are 2 paths left. One we're on and the other one. I mean, we're like straight up. Like there's like no, like the tree is split in 2 and we're going straight up. And like the left and right branches, they're I can almost guarantee those are done. There might be like little segments that we have to pop back for to like do something. Yeah, so that's more or less what I figured. We get to another chapter 9. If it's chapter 9, I think we should finish the stream now. Cause like that sounds like mostly the duration of a stream. Continuing from here would generate a slightly too long stream now, and a definitely too short stream that will cause me like bad time, frown, face much doing bad. Hello, it's me. That sounds very much like that's one stream duration. I'm fine I'm fine doing like a longer stream, but if it's like gonna finish it. Yeah, like the like almost 6-hour stream was like a super bad time for me. That was like entirely my own doing, but like I'm not trying to make that a normal thing. That was like some Halloween bookkeeping stuff. I streamed for like 14 hours in one weekend, and it wasn't great. It was pretty bad for me. Not like I had a bad time doing it, or that all 3 of those were bad streams, but rather that like I had no time to do mostly anything other than like the basic minimums of existing as an adult and also streaming. Which is, like, kind of stressful when you then go straight back to work. Like, it wasn't, like, good time management. So, like, I'm fine doing, like, a 4-hour stream or whatever next Friday to, like, finish it. If it's, like, an hour to do the heist, an hour to do Chapter 7, an hour to do Chapter... No. 7, 8, 9. Whatever. If it's, like, 3 more chapters and then, like, a ending bit. And, like, each one of those takes an hour. I'm fine with that. But, like, what I don't want to do is, like, do an hour now, and then, like, a week from now, it actually only takes, like, 2 hours. Like, that seems bad. So, that's why we're here with Big Vasco. From now... Yeah, that's... I mean, just going by the chapter numbers, that was my assumption. Is, like, that's roughly the amount of time we have. So, like, I'm sticking with that. We'll be back tomorrow, and I'll have to try and remember how to set up Lamplight City, because I think I want to do that. I think we're just going to start Chapter 2 over for the sake of convenience and following what's going on, because we only got like 10 minutes or something into that. We didn't get very far into that. So we'll restart that, and then you all as a collective can decide if we... Because the last time we tried playing it, I was like goofing around, and I managed to find like a weird fail case where like you implicate a guy in crimes and he's like willing to tell you stuff, and then I like wandered off and talked to his nanny, and then he wouldn't talk to me ever again, which was really funny, but like I don't strongly have feelings as to whether or not we should deliberately fail that, knowing how that works. So we'll be back for that. We'll try to finish Beacon Pines next week. This game is like clearly much longer than the internet seems to think it is, which isn't like a huge problem, but like is just complicated for me trying to figure out what to do with my time. And then once we finish this game, we'll go back to Murder by Numbers, which I do want to finish. I mean, let me ask you this. So, like, I know some people were, like, strongly against Lamplight City, and some people were super pro Lamplight City. I think it's really interesting. I'm interested in the game. Is it so maligned that people don't want to do it? forgot about Bird by Numbers. We did so many, like, weeks of, like, not advancing the story, just doing the bonus cases. It might be the case the internet doesn't read out loud and can read faster. Maybe? I don't know. Percentage-wise, that feels off to me, but, like, that could be a thing. Lamplight was the one where, our partner died in a florist accident and then haunted us forever and then complained that we took, like, medicine to stop the ghosts from happening. I mean, like, it's super... Like, I get that it's a little polarizing, but, like, I think it's, like, a really interesting example of adventure gaming from what I've seen of it. And, like, since we started playing it, I've seen it mentioned a couple places by people that, like, hold it in pretty high regard. And I'd, like, kind of be interested in just learning about it. Like, I'm certainly not committed to finishing it if, like, it just gets extremely terrible. But, like, some people seem really into it. And, like, I want to know more about it. We'll go with that. We'll play it tomorrow and go by ear or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I totally got that vibe, and that was fair. Like, people were just sort of like, we started it because we thought it'd be spooky, and it was kind of just like a regular mystery thing in, like, a vaguely supernatural world. And so, like, yeah, like, certainly not upset that people were like, no, I want to do other stuff for Halloween. But, like, because we've started it, like, if I'm going to finish it, I'd rather do it soon. Because doing it, like, 6 months from now, like, it's just going to be confusing. It's actually recommended to you by another indie dev. I believe it. Like, I've heard good things about it. Like, I've had, like, a slightly mixed response to it so far. But, like, there was a really interesting puzzle that I liked a lot in the first game. And, like, or in the first case, sorry. Because it's, like, it's broken down by case. And, like, it's... The thing that was really interesting to me about it is that, like, it was understated but really well hinted. And also, it's, like, very much the type of puzzle that would, like, normally frustrate me. And I came away feeling, like, really positively about it. And so, like... If nothing else, I'm very impressed that the game is able to, like, do that. And, like, I'm interested to see how that continues to apply. So it sounds like we're neutral enough that we could do that tomorrow. Which is good, because then I don't have to, like, test a new thing. And also, like I said, I'm interested in doing it and would rather do it sooner than later, because revisiting games, like, distantly in the future is just, like, an absolute disaster. Like, it won't be good. So... yeah, we'll wrap it here. We'll presumably finish this game next Friday. Right? But yeah, next Friday should be fine. And then we'll pick back up Lamplight City and go from there. I mean, like, maybe we played 3 hours of that and it's terrible and we put it down again. But, like, it's earned enough goodwill from me that I want to give it a shot. That's where I'm at. So I hope you joined for that. We'll make quite a lot of fun of it. It's pretty wild. It's been a weird game so far, and I don't expect that to change significantly. But before we can end this stream, there's, of course, one final order of business, which some people have already taken to, which is that somewhere on this couch behind me, I've hidden a secret Squirtle. If you can see a Squirtle, then it's not a secret. But yeah, if you're able to locate that Squirtle, it will provide some secret knowledge to you that will be a portend of good luck in the week to come. So I encourage you to take a moment and consider where on this mess of stuffed animals behind me I may have hidden a Squirtle. Because who can't use good luck? I know I could. I guess it's under Baymax and under Carlos. And yeah, I mean, I got some... I mean, one thing that's true also is, like, we're talking about, like, the 6-hour stream from, like, a couple weeks ago. And if I don't do super long streams, then I have more time to devote to, like, adding fun things to the stream. And, like, right now my to-do list is relatively short, but, like, I've had, like, no time to do it. And there's some stuff I, like, really want to do soon. So, like, shorter streaming's, like, stuff. It's good. You'll probably like it, I think. I promise. Maybe. Squirrel behind Pirate Bird. Pirate bird. This one, yeah? This one, pirate bird? It's kind of hard to tell because of the extremely low quality of my webcam and the distance from the camera itself. Okay. He is actually a porcupine. I'll show him off again. He's new. Sarah got him to decorate the couch for Halloween. This is very generous. Thank you, Sarah, for doing that. Yeah, let's go look for Squirtle. Oh, did I almost tether myself into some sort of trap? Almost. Oh, right, I forgot my right leg sucks. Awesome. Okay, great. Ow. I shouldn't put any weight on it, and then I immediately put all my weight on it. Okay. Let's start there, because we're talking about it. So, this obviously, this isn't a Squirtle, and he's not secret, but he's hanging out with our good friend, our good new friend. This is Hans the Porcupine. And he is a porcupine who's also a pirate and wearing an eye patch. And he's the prickly little porcupine needles. But it's a very good portmanteau because he's a porcupine. But yeah, no Squirtle back there. I had a Pokeball, but this one's empty. It does not contain a Squirtle. I wish it did. That'd be super sick. I guess behind a rabbit friend who is a similar size, but is a rabbit and not also a pirate. Nothing particular hiding back there. You may or may not have noticed that Squidbeard has claimed a donut for himself, which he has earned and deserves. Always watching over the couch, pretty much always. I guess under Carlos, who is Clawsome. Down there is the location of this hidden Vaporeon, which regrettably is not a secret Squirtle. As always, it is great to show off how Clawsome Carlos is. Very good. And I think Neko had guessed a Baymax, maybe because the little pirate hat that she made and sent to me fits very well in Baymax, so I put it on him this time. Does in fact turn out that that's where the secret Squirtle was hiding. Yeah, I was pretty pleased with, like, I've been trying out putting the pirate hat on various friends on the couch, and today I was like, oh yeah, that's a good fit, is what that is. Yeah, congratulations, Neko, you found the secret Squirtle. But here, have one of these. Great. Sorry for all the trying to sort out stream business at the end of the stream. It's very thrilling, I know. This is why no one would ever watch to the end of a video on YouTube.
Stronger than my mom.
One of these days, I actually want to try and figure out if Secret Squirtle should be a stream-only thing, and I should end the YouTube recording earlier. I feel like that might be a thing. I don't know. If you have strong feelings, let me know. But for now, this stream has ended. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific for Lamplight City. I'm excited for it. Seems like at least a few people are into it too. And if you're interested in more of this game, which has been great, just, like I've been a little bit critical of it today, but like mostly because we're deep into it and it's different from my expectations, and that's fine in some ways, and in other ways I feel like it could have been improved. But like I do still think this is a pretty good game. I'm enjoying it a lot, and there's a lot of things that it does well. But we'll try to finish this next Friday and start Lamplight City again tomorrow. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day or time unit that you are currently experiencing. And thanks for being here. Thanks for being you. And I hope to see you again soon. Whether that's tomorrow or in the future. Have a good time until then. Good night, everybody. Sean.